Hello, and welcome to the third episode of Skin Deep. This is a bespoke horror game using a modified version of the V5 rules. Due to the nature of both the system we're using and the content therein, this is an adult game dealing with content that may not be suitable for all viewers. Tonight's content warnings may include insects, claustrophobia, medical harm, self-harm, graphic descriptions, heights, tryptophobia, and aspects of Morgellons disease. This episode, or this series, may not be for everyone. So with that in mind, let's do some intros, and please let us know your current sanity rating for these intros. So why don't we go ahead with Sara?
Hey, my name's Sara, and I'll be playing Ella Barnes, Daddy's special perpetual student, and my sanity rating is 9.
Solid start. All right, and Rin.
It's like, where is the unmute button? Sorry. Hi, I'm Rin. I'm going to be playing Dr. Karen Jones, and my sanity rating is 6.
All right. Johnathan.
Hello, everybody. I'm Johnathan. I will be playing Lucas Costa, the caver, who is hopefully going to be continuing to lead everybody onto this expedition, even though I was told there would be puppies, and there are in fact no puppies.
You don't know that yet.
Okay, I'll keep searching for puppies. My current sanity rating is still somehow a solid 9.
Well, we'll be changing all these 9s anyway. Patrick?
Hi, I'm Patrick Gill, and tonight I will be playing Dr. Harrison Kent, the disgruntled and jaded archaeologist, or geologist, and he knows that deep down we're in some shit, and he just can't put his finger on it yet. And my sanity rating is also currently 9.
A lot of 9s going around. I don't like this. And Jay.
Hi, I'm Jay. I'm going to be playing Mark the Documentarian. My sanity rating is currently 8, and I don't think it's quite dawned on him that he's in a nasty situation yet. I think he's still more focused on getting the shot than anything else.
Very important.
The crazy one.
And I am Lex, your storyteller for this evening. So when we last left our cast, they had made their way deeper into the underground cave and found a large secondary dome deeper within. They discovered some form of church or temple and entered. Within, there was a life-size statue of a woman that matched the etchings discovered in the first episode. Dr. Jones approached and touched the figure, only to discover that it was not stone as first thought, but a massive collection of ant carcasses that crumbled to dust at her touch. Dr. Jones' clothes and skin made contact with this ashy mix of dust and insect bodies. So with that all said and done, let's get started with episode 3, The Height. And we're once again going to start off with some rolls. So Mark, can I please get your stealth roll?
No reason in particular.
No reason. Everything's good.
Everything's great. Right. 4 successes.
Perfect. Dr. Jones, can I get a perception roll from you, please?
Okay, and that's wits plus alertness.
Yes.
And will my concealed objects spec count for this?
No.
No. Okay. Four.
4? All right. So, once again, you're pretty sure that someone from over by the sound kind of sleeping area has gotten up and moved around last night. You're still not really sure exactly who it is, and especially after yesterday, you're not exactly all together, if you know what I mean. which in fact reminds me, can I go ahead and get a stamina roll from you?
Straight stamina.
Yeah, we'll go straight stamina.
Okay.
Once again, for no reason in particular.
Again, totally. These are random rolls I want.
Oh yeah, just arbitrary.
Botch.
Botch, cool. Fun.
Oh.
Alrighty. So Dr. Jones explodes immediately.
The tent just like
Hold on,
like that scene
let me
from
just
Cloverfield.
squeeze this
Just-
out here.
So you did not sleep very well through the course of the night. That itching and tingling feeling in your arm really kept you up, tossing and turning. You did not sleep very well, and you are not feeling so great today. So with that all said and done, move on to game proper. So everyone sort of starts to wake up around the same general time here. And as I recall, you are all still in the secondary dome that you located further interior.
All right, so now that it's time to start this next work day here, Dr. Kent gets up. There's probably, for good and for ill, very little of the instant coffee here at their secondary site. Just enough for everyone to be able to choke down a real thick, muddy cup. It's more.
You to assume that Lucas did not come prepared with caffeine.
It's see, it's my responsibility to help make sure that everyone's got access to the general provisions, and yeah, the scent of the coffee that's maybe wafting about the camp. It's definitely more potent and bitter smelling than the previous day, and you could probably see that Dr. Kent is maybe milling back and forth in his own little section, kind of absently chewing on a granola bar, and he's messing around with an app on his phone. But he's pacing back and forth, paying very little attention to what's actually going on right now, and just waiting for the other shoe to drop.
I think Lucas.
Dr. Jones smells coffee and is just like there.
I think Lucas
Like,
the first
teleports
thing he does when he gets up is to rescue the coffee, so that it does not, in fact, get made in such a way that we have to chew it this morning.
And Dr. Kent, he looks up at the two of you as you start to approach, and is Dr. Jones's dressing clearly visible to Dr. Kent?
That's up to you, Dr. Jones. The dressing was on your arm, so it may be visible, or you may have covered it. That's up to you.
It's a little covered, like at the very edges. Like when she reaches for something, you'll see like little bits of the wrap, but that's
Okay.
about it.
All right. Storyteller, if you don't mind, I'd like to go ahead and make a wits and awareness roll, or maybe a wits and insight roll, just to see if to actually try to get as good or pay as close of attention to that dressing as I can without being obtrusive.
Sure. Go ahead and make a wits and awareness. Are you looking at it right now, or is this just kind of a general roll to keep an eye on it?
In general, like I probably spot, a little bit of that, and like, I don't want to be the asshole this early, and I'm just kind of keeping an eye on it in general.
Drip. Exactly what you want to ask.
Ella would have been, once she woke up, be kind of sitting in her little sleeping area, and the makeup is getting somehow thicker, but also worse. And she's just like applying it like heavier, it seems like, every day, and she'll kind of be straightening herself up and walking towards the coffee smell, and she's like, I miss my French press.
You know
That's
that.
okay, kiddo. One of these
I
days, back in my day, we used to take a pot of coffee and we would boil it down to an inch sludge, and then we would chug it back, because that is how you drink the demon semen.
And you liked it.
Up is shutting the fuck
And you
up.
liked
What?
it.
Yeah, and you walked uphill both ways, right?
That would be stupid. That makes no sense.
Okay, crotchety old people shit aside, every time I was in the shit, I just reminded myself while drinking garbage coffee or no coffee at all that the reason that you appreciate your French press when you get home is because you've been out here.
That's true. That's
yeah, I
very
guess
true.
it will taste pretty good when I get back. Yeah, you're right. And Ella's kind of like touching her face, like her nose and like her I don't know, she's like, I already feel really naked. Like,
Yeah.
And Sound's head whips around, and then he kind of looks back.
As a side note, I scored 0 successes on my roll, so I'm not particularly too concerned about the doctor's dressing for this point in time.
Perfect. It looked great when you got a quick glance at it. You're not worried about it.
Nothing to be concerned about. She seems to be doing just fine. Now, I probably would. I'd probably sidle up next to Ella. Now, your makeup brushes, you're not really able to clean them down here all that well, are you?
I mean, yeah, I have a dry alcohol spray.
Okay, I'm legitimately curious.
She'll probably go back to her backpack and just like bring it out, and she'll show you. She's like, see, and you just on the brush, and you kind of just put it on like a tissue or something, and it comes off and it's clean.
Actually, if you don't, can I take a look at that real quick?
Yeah, sure, I guess. Here.
And I'll take it. I want to just what's the actual alcohol content on that spray bottle? If you don't mind me asking here. Or
I don't know. It doesn't say.
Okay.
It doesn't say.
All right. I'll take a look at it, and I'll see if I can use my general scientific understanding to see if isopropyl alcohol or some other kind of alcohol is maybe listed as like a primary active ingredient that might be able to help me figure out exactly. Because I'm thinking this might be good in case of emergency.
Well, I guess the question is, Ella, how much did we spend on these makeup wipes? Are these good makeup wipes, or are these dollar store makeup wipes?
It's a spray. It's a
I'm
spray.
talking about
spray.
Yeah, it's an aerosol spray. It's kind of expensive. Like it is the size. This is actually it. So it comes in this, and it's usually like $25, if not more.
Okay, but it's an aerosol based, alcohol based, dry makeup brush cleaning spray.
Right.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, so if it is an alcohol-based one, then sure. That's sort of why I was asking, because alcohol-free is a big selling point on a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, so you just like, and then wipe it.
I don't actually know if that has... Well, you know what, we'll say that it has a low alcohol content.
I would say it's
This-
low. Yeah.
This wouldn't be like... Honestly, this probably wouldn't work to like sanitize a wound,
Right.
but it's gonna be better than, rubbing some dirt in it.
Right. I'm thinking and I think probably Harrison maybe gives Mark a little bit of a glance and hands the bottle back over to Ella, and just something's down here. It's just not sitting right, and I'm wanting to make sure I've just got all my threads put together.
Yeah, you keep saying that something's weird, something's wrong. I mean, what's normal in a place like this, though, really?
Right. And I'm trying to
Like, we don't
emphasize
need
that.
to expect the worst. I mean, things have been weird, and it sucks that Dr. Jones, got kind of fucked up, but, like...
If you were to fall and break your leg right now, how long is it going to take for us to get you to an actual hospital?
It's weird. I'm the one that's in all this, like, goth makeup, but, like, you're the one that's really depressing and, like, pessimistic. Like, it's kind of a weird, like, inversion of the trope.
You have to
honestly. It's kind
recognize
of
that
good.
We're over 4 hours from medical care right now. At any point,
Well over 4 hours.
yeah, like if
It's
we're
4
talking
hours to get back to
proper
the surface.
medevac waiting for us, like you're looking at a day. So triage doesn't help. If you rupture an artery down here, if you break a bone the wrong way, like by the time you get back, you're looking infection, gangrene, you're looking severe medical issues. So, I mean, he's got the right idea taking stock from a medical perspective.
Because, I mean, we're down here with an undiscovered ant species right now, and God knows what the ecosystem down here is like.
Realistically speaking, we're several hours trek away from our base camp. And from there, you're looking at a several hour climb back up to the first camp that was set up.
Okay,
Right.
I mean, and Ella's just kind of like, okay, and she starts to just at that point, like, drink the coffee, and a big tacky black stain is left on the cup, and she's kind of just like, keeps like kind of touching up this black shellac on her lips and just drinking the coffee. She's like, okay, I'm taking it seriously. What's on the agenda for today?
Well, I just want to add, I'm not trying to bust your balls here. This is, I'm trying to teach you a few things.
Once
All right.
everybody is awake, fed, and we're all packed up, currently the agenda is to get back to our base camp.
Correct. Get back to the base camp. We need to be able to, at the very least, signal back up top, because we missed a check-in. We need to at least we need to get back there. At least make contact. Once we get back to something a little bit more stable than this hobo camp we got going on here, then we can figure out what we're gonna do further. So everyone, just make sure you got all your stuff. Remember, leave no trace. Blah blah blah.
So I'm going to walk over to Dr. Jones while they're bickering in the camp. It's kind of like as soon as I'm talking about how far we are from medical care, it kind of sparks something in Mark, and I'm going to get up and since we've spent the night now with that dressing on, it's probably time to change it. So I'm going to come sit by her and say, so, pain?
Pain.
No pain?
A little itchy, but
Itchy's to
that's
be
just the
expected.
gauze.
But we should expect probably a minor bacterial infection, so I'm gonna treat it and we'll redress it. We got to treat everything.
Can we
down
do
here
that
like
back at Can we do that back at base where we can clean it out a little bit better?
I mean, yeah, sure, we
I
can.
don't want anything else to get in it right now.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, let's, I guess, go back to base.
Cool.
All right. So that's the plan. Everyone's going to head back to the original lower camp.
Yeah.
All right. So you guys, are you fully packing this camp up, or are you kind of leaving it spread as it is so that you can return here? Because the more you take with you, the more you have to bring back through those labyrinth, and if you are planning to come back here to continue your research, then you're probably going to have to lug all this back with you once more.
Probably, I'd say that Spencer and Lucas would I think advocate for leaving some of the gear behind, non-essential type stuff that we know that we'll need when we if we come back to do this research point.
I think
Yeah, this is
non-essentials,
definitely your
things that we
backup
have.
stuff.
Yeah, things that we have, duplicates of already back to the main camp.
I think most of the camera kit and the equipment is going to stay here because this is where the site is. So, there's no sense in lugging that back to base camp. There's not a whole lot to capture at base camp.
And your stuff is definitely some of the most likely to get damaged getting lugged back and forth here.
Yeah.
Ropes are ropes. Cameras.
Yeah. And the
not
Pelicans had a hard time through that little narrow passage. So, yeah, imagine there was probably a humorous scene off screen where Sound was trying to lug those Pelican cases through the narrow passage.
For anyone watching in the audience, a pelican is a case that sound stuff goes in, not a large bird, as I thought the first time he used that word. And I was very confused.
Is Pelican case not a well-known thing? Okay, all right.
Maybe I'm
Exactly
just
what
dumb.
you're talking about.
It's kind of a hobby thing.
Yeah, okay.
For
All right, so
shipping.
you guys get your main stuff, so like your personal items and then any tech that would be lost if you didn't come back here goes with you. So we are going to go ahead and get another one of those phenomenal Dex Athletics rolls to go back through this labyrinth.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Three for me.
So I should probably remember, did Paolo come with you here, or did he stay in the other room? I know
Paolo-
Spencer and Sound are here.
I thought Paolo, right before we left, went back up. No, wait, that was after the first episode. I can't remember now, actually.
I think Paolo, he would have stayed behind with one of the other general laborers.
Okay, perfect. That's what I thought.
Yeah. Yeah, we would have, Dr. Kent would have left him behind with another buddy.
What's the specialization in keeping? Give me one more time. I can't remember.
Adds an extra die to you.
Thank you.
And one subtract from,
No.
right? No? Okay.
Mm-mm.
Then 6.
4.
4.
3 for me.
3.
Somehow.
5, 3. Perfect.
Jesus.
Sorry, excuse me.
I must be distracted today.
So what order are we going in? I'm assuming either Lucas or Spencer will be first and then the other person will be last. All right, so Lucas is through first. Who goes right after Lucas? Then Karen.
I'm going to follow the doc to see if she's moving weirdly. She's,
But great.
Yeah.
Doing better than everyone else.
I think Dr. Kent would probably either directly or indirectly make sure that Ella goes in front of him in case she has another problem getting through.
Where is Sound?
Probably
What a weird
never more
question.
than 3 feet from you.
Yeah, sound is going in basically right after you.
Okay, so then
So I
it would
guess
be
it'll go-
Ella and then the Dr. Kent.
So the question
and
is,
then Sound.
Dr. Kent, are you racing Sound to get in right behind her, or are you gonna let Sound in after her and then go after Sound?
I know what Sound's angle is here. He's not getting a free show. Fuck this guy, and I will if I
That's
have
crazy because I was about to give him a free show. That was my whole purpose for asking, was so I could do a little grind and just be like, "Hey,
Oh my
you're
god!
gonna do something for me later."
Dr. Kent still got a little bit of that,
That's
that
fine.
old gender role
That's
bullshit.
fine.
Yeah, so
So
now, yeah,
Never noticed.
it's the chivalry thing. Oh, I'm sorry. I know, but no. So no, Dr. Kent. No, he might actually physically nudge Sound out of the way if Sound's gonna be.
Sound makes a bit of a beeline for right after Ella, but when you cut in front of him, definitely his non-confrontational / wussy nature gets the better of him, and he doesn't want this confrontation, so he lets you go ahead of him. So you all start coming out the other side, sort of one after the other. Everyone gets through with undue amount of difficulty. Everything seems pretty okay. The only real difference you notice is that the longer you've been down here, the more this sound has started to kind of surround you. And as you get back to your initial camp, it definitely doesn't decrease. And you're not really sure if maybe it was always this loud and now you're just attuned to it, or if it has gotten louder. So Dr. Kent, can I actually get a wits awareness from you and just you?
Mm-hmm. Are we doing the whole, we're gonna burn a willpower to re-roll? Are you allowing that here, storyteller, or are we opting not to do that?
Sure, go ahead. Honestly, I'm more about the successes of players than anything. Makes for a better story.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna take a point to my I'm gonna take a point of damage to my willpower, or do you want to flip it to sanity? Do you want to flip it to sanity instead of willpower, storyteller?
Sure, yeah. So let's go ahead and do that. So basically,
Okay.
Making up a house rule literally as I'm standing right here. What's going to happen, instead of burning willpower, you can take damage to your sanity, which means when you go to roll your sanity rating, you're going to round up instead of rounding down to succeed. Because that willpower or that sanity's been damaged.
Okay. I like that. Thank you.
Yeah. No problem.
Okay, much better. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 successes. That's why I needed to do that. And there's a mental toll that he probably took just to make sure that he's really tuning in, because maybe a little bit of paranoia is starting to kick in, maybe. But yeah, he's okay. Yeah, we're definitely paying attention to whatever's going on here.
All right. So you come through to the other side. And you take a couple steps away when you realize you appear to have been the last person to come through. Neither Sound nor Spencer follows you out.
Lucas, we got a problem.
And Lucas will turn around.
So you see Dr. Kent, but you do not see either of the two people who should have been following him.
Sound.
Give it a minute.
Lucas.
Give it a minute. Sound probably just ran into an issue and Spencer's helping him. Just give him a minute or two.
How long do you wait?
I'll wait like 2-3 minutes.
No one comes out.
Stay here. And Lucas will go to head back. Trying to move and seem very casual. It is very likely that Mark, however, since he knows Lucas, knows that Lucas is definitely not as chill about this as he's pretending to be.
Yeah. I'm going to follow a little ways behind just in case there's an extra set of hands needed, but I'm going to hang back a little ways, and I'm going to turn around. So it, probably kind of comical because it's like a stay here. As we both go back in.
So are you going all the way in, or are you just going to kind of go to the entrance of this pathway and just sort of hang out in the foyer of the rocks, if you will?
I will probably, take a look down the pathway that we came down, but if I don't immediately see anything, yeah, I'm going to go in.
All right. So not quite when you first step in. You kind of have to take one or two of the little twists and turns. And you do see the light of 2 headlamps. And you come up and Sound is doing a thing that you have seen so many times before. He's gotten himself hooked on one of the rocks and has clearly started to panic due to his 0 successes on that roll. You can see that Spencer is behind him and is obviously doing his job, is trying to calm him down. Sound is not alone in here, but Sound has worked himself into a solid frenzy.
Then I will, Lucas will move closer hey, Sound, hey, look at me, man, look at me. It's okay. We've got you. We're gonna get you unhooked. I'm right here with you. Spencer's right behind you, okay? Just like with Ella yesterday, I need you to take a deep breath in, and then I need you to hold it, and then let it go. I need you to calm down, okay?
No, I'm not moving. I'm not going any further than this right here. This is it. We have to go back. We should go back.
Why?
It's so tight in here. And can't you hear them? Can't you hear them everywhere?
Hey, we did this yesterday, okay, man? Essentially, I'm trying to buy time for Spencer to get him unhooked.
Yeah, and Spencer is definitely going through, and it appears he's gotten one of his camera bags caught on just this little outcropping. Basically, one of the pelican cases, instead of going lengthwise, has turned widthwise. And you can see that without trying to bump into this panicking man, Spencer is slowly turning the case, so you should be able to just kind of slide him along if you can get him to cooperate with you.
I'm going to kind of sidle up at this point just a little bit closer and be like, hey man, this kind of reminds me of Bolivia.
I remember that.
Yeah. No, this is fine. We got out of that scrape too. And at least this time there's no water, right? We're not stuck in water. So we're gonna breathe, and we're gonna let them get you clear, and you're going to come forward towards us, okay? Come forward towards Lucas when they say to go. But we're gonna take it nice and slow, and we're gonna breathe nice and easy, okay?
Right.
They ain't got shit on the Paris catacombs.
Can I get a charisma persuasion? Or if you feel like you're lying and misleading him, a manipulation persuasion, if you feel that's more appropriate.
No, I'm not lying. This genuinely does
seem like it.
Yeah, it's.
But
we
for
were
everyone
stuck
else
in
to
an
know as
underwater
well,
cave.
if you ever have to make that same roll, feel free to use whichever of those is more appropriate to what you're doing.
Sorry, charisma and
Persuasion.
Persuasion. Well, that's not a great pool, but not a socially inclined character. But 2 successes of 4. So yeah, 2 successes.
And Lucas?
I apologize, I didn't catch that I needed to do that one too.
Oh, sorry, my bad. Yeah, yours would definitely be charisma persuasion since you were there.
Woof. Well,
Try not to terrify him further into the cave.
this is like my literal worst thing that I quite literally have a whopping 1 dice in.
Oh, a chance die!
So, please don't hate me. Hey, that's actually a success!
Hey!
How about that? So between the two of you, and also with just a little bit of nudging along from Spencer, you manage to kind of sidle Sound out of here. It's definitely a group activity. And you again come out 1-2, and Sound basically spills out of this. He comes out like onto his hands and knees. He might kiss the ground if he wasn't so aware that there are so many of you that know exactly what just happened to him. And Spencer comes out last, and he takes a second to kind of check on Sound. But as he stands up from that, he definitely has a solid eye roll for Lucas over this.
There's kind of a shared commiserated eye roll with Mark too, because like this is a thing that happens pretty regularly with Sound based on the rolls I've seen.
Lucas was just gonna mouth amateurs.
And Ella will go to Sound. They're still on the ground, presumably, and just kind of bend down and touch his shoulder and be like, come on, get up. It's okay. Come on.
Okay.
We'll do it together.
And he puts his hand on your hand and gets one foot under him and climbs to his feet with your help, your emotional help.
And I'll give him a hug.
Aww.
Yeah, and I'll just get just a nice embrace. Not too long, not too short. Just the right length of time.
And sound definitely clings to you just a little bit more. If he had any game per se, he thought he could try to work on Ella here. It is very clear that this is not game. This is a human being who needs the connection of another human being for a minute. And when you break the embrace, he releases you immediately.
Yeah, it gives me that soundbite that's like, "Mommy, sorry, mommy, sorry, mommy, sorry." that vibe very much.
Yeah.
So she lets him go and just sort of like gives this like sage nod in his direction. She's like, I was where you were. Like, we're figuring it out. No worries.
Usually not this bad. This place is rough.
Yeah, for sure. But
And he kind of just nods to you and heads over by Mark and busies himself doing something technological that does not need to be done. He's, checking straps and busying work himself.
I just kind of hang out close to him, make sure he's okay, and check for like ripped clothes, any sign of injury, limp, or anything. Without checking him, but just kind of being physically present, since I guess I'm his closest friend here.
So go ahead and give me a wits and awareness to give him a check over that's not like a medical check over.
Yeah.
You're just kind of glancing at him.
Seems like a 2 success kind of day. 2 successes.
2 successes. He's scuffed up, but at a glance he seems fine.
Okay.
Your pelican case definitely took the worst of it. It's scuffed.
Oh no.
Fired.
How dare he?
So with that moment of adrenaline having sort of expended itself, for anyone who is actively involved with it, you are all back in your original camp to do as you will. I assume someone's going over to do the green light check-in.
Yeah, while all of this was going on with sound, Dr. Kent would have immediately checked in with Paolo. The thing with sound was a too many cooks in the kitchen sort of thing. Paolo and the rest of the general laborers that would have hung back here at this camp, they're Dr. Kent's primary responsibility at this point in time. Mm-hmm. And so he would have been making sure everything with Paolo was good. He's also he's taken a private mental stock of just how much water they have left down here. He's starting to keep tabs now. Maybe the doctor had a bad experience one time out in the bush somewhere, and he's starting to maybe fall into we'll say some unnecessary mother hen behavior with the camp now. But yeah, he's starting to take very meticulous of the food and the water especially.
Perfect. Are you just kind of doing a count? Are you inspecting it? Anything like that? Or just taking stock, making sure
just taking stock, like, okay, we've got, these many liter bottles, we have these many, 5-gallon, potable tanks, whatever we've, or potable tanks, whatever we've got. Yeah, just, I'm not like inspecting. I'm just making sure quantity versus quality right now.
Quantity, and as far as you see at a glance, quality all appears fully above board. You have right about what you would expect to have. Okay. You probably took some water with you and left it at the other camp, because that's the kind of thing that's a real bitch to take along this labyrinth.
Mhm.
So at this particular camp, you have less water than you would like, but that's because you were the ones who took it there.
Right.
For all intents and purposes, you guys have the supplies you would need to stay down here for the week that you were initially tagged to go down here.
Okay. And I'll once I'm satisfied with that, I'd go through the rigmarole with the light, checking in up top, and then once the hubbub with sound has died down, I'd probably rejoin and just to kind of touch base with everybody, see how the rest of the group is sitting. So probably walk up to Mark then.
And Mark is sitting. Mark is just sitting, sort of at the periphery of the camp, uploading the lidar data into his laptop.
And I would say Dr. Kent doesn't know how to work the lidar software, but he knows it when he sees it. He's probably starting to take a little more interest in what Mark's working on, not wanting to directly manipulate what Mark's working on, but just trying to absorb as much passive info as he can. What's the total ceiling height in there, Mark?
Well, hang on. Let me pull it up here, and I'm gonna pull up the data to try to get a size and scale reference for how big that chamber is.
So the current chamber you're in, from the top of where you first came in down to the bottom, is about 350 meters. The secondary room that you were in was, was taller than that. It was closer to about 375, 400 meters.
Okay, so either we went down or they dug higher up into the mountain. One of those two.
It seems to me like it's a pretty thin crust of ground over top, directly of where they are, unless the mountain on the outside was built up over top of this. It seemed like was it limestone that it was built out of? What was the actual rock?
What an excellent question. Since I don't remember just off the top of my head, let's say soapstone right this second, but I'm almost sure that's not what I said. If you give me just a sec to check.
Yeah, you're fine.
Either way, with regard to how close it is to the surface, one, it seems like access from some closed off location would have been a little bit easier. And two, I am surprised that there haven't been more cave-ins, honestly.
Right, and I'm actually. Could you print off the elevation map off of the lidar? I want to cross-reference that with the overhead geological survey maps, trying to compare that with the overhead mountain range. I want to see exactly just how deep under the mountain that second chamber is.
Now, I know you're not a tech person, Doc. You're not talking about like a physical printout, right? Because I didn't bring an inkjet down here with me.
Well, here, hold on a second. And Dr. Kent takes out his smartphone, and can you at least just get the display here so I have something
that I can do.
Okay, yeah. And I'll do what I can to take a picture of the lidar mapping. And then that way I've got at least something there to cross-reference with the geological map. Even if I have to sit there and put the map over my phone and try to sit there and trace, I'm gonna do what I can to try to get this to. I need this information.
All right. So let's get another Intel Academics to sort that out.
Okay. And I'm assuming my geology specialty actually is relevant here?
It sure is.
All right, I like hearing that. Okay. Ooh, there we go. 1, 2, 3, 4.
4. All right. So it seems more likely that it sloped downward, based on everything you've got of the surrounding area, because of course that was research you did before you came. Yeah, from the geographical and topographical maps you have, it seems much more likely that this slopes primarily downward.
Okay.
There aren't large mountain around here that would explain that kind of increased height.
Understood. All right, because so they would have they actually dug deeper than Mark. Which, why?
Yeah.
Because if they, especially without modern excavating equipment, why would you make your job harder?
Something about this doesn't make sense. And I'm not a scientist, obviously I'm not a geologist, but like shit that stuff that we found in the house and at the altar, like that stuff was running in and out of the rock.
Right.
Is there are there any deposits of that stuff near the base?
Oh, you mean the ripples?
Yeah, the ripples.
Yeah.
Storyteller, are there any is there anything
Around-
like on the walls? The ripples that we're talking about, because I'd like to go find some of that.
Yeah, so last game, I believe, actually, Ella and Dr. Kent had done a little bit of scrapings.
Yeah.
The ripples here definitely aren't as strong. Basically, the further you get away from this little town you drop down into, the less ripply it gets, and the further into the town and the closer, even closer into the temple you got, the more ripply it got.
Okay. I'd like to find a spot with two qualities. One, no overhanging wall. Like, I'd like to find like maybe a lump of rock that is a little ways away from the camp, if I can.
Okay.
And I'd like to take out my piton hammer and just like crack the rock near that. Like, I just want to hit it as hard as I can.
I'm tagging along with him here.
Yeah.
So are you looking for like, what kind of rock exactly are you looking for? Like a boulder with the ripples
Basically
in it?
a boulder with the ripples in it. What I don't want to do is hit the cave wall and trigger like a bunch of shit to fall down on us, but I kind of, yeah, exactly. I want to find like a benign hunk of rock that doesn't appear like it's holding up the wall, that has these ripples in it, and just give it a good smoke with the hammer.
All right. So it's a little harder than you expected to find something of an appreciable size that has these ripples.
Yeah.
Primarily what you find down here seems to have come from when the initial cave-in happened, which gave you your opening up above. So there's lots and lots of moderately small rocks, but definitely not anything bouldery. It takes you a little while to find one, and it only appears to be kind of ripply on one side, so most likely this was a big hunk that came out of the wall at some point, and what you've got here is what would have been visible, and then what would have been mountain.
Right. Yeah, I'd like to crack along the edge of the ripple, like not hitting the ripple itself, but the rock right next to it.
So what exactly are you hoping to find or
I have
achieve?
a
Are you looking
theory-
to spread open?
I have a theory based on the bones that we saw, that basically whatever this stuff is leaches moisture and nutrients from the objects nearby to it, and that in so doing it might make it really brittle, which would explain how this tunneling was able to take place. Because if it becomes really, really brittle and fragile, then if you crack that with a hammer, it should just shear right off like it's slate, you know?
Yeah, and that is basically what happens. It takes you a few attempts, because when you're too close to the visible edge and you crack it, it kind of just dust crumbles. You have to move a little further in, and it kind of sheaves off in, about an inch thick. It's definitely not a nice crack here. Anyone who is of the archaeology bent is definitely like, because that's not how you do archaeology outside of the movies. But you get a solid sheaf off of it, what you might consider like almost a tablet sized, if you will. It's not a tablet.
Right.
All right, and I'm gonna the piece that broke off. I'm taking as close a look at this as possible as well. I'm assuming another in academics.
Yes, please.
Okay. Yes. Cool. 3.
3? Okay. This rock is definitely structurally compromised, would be the best way to describe it. Whatever caused these ripples or wrinkles it's definitely affected the integrity of the rock all in all, which fits with what you've kind of been testing it, breaking off little bits of these ripples and whatnot.
Okay. Alright, so Mark, what we've got here is a little bit of a problem. You see. So what we've got here is a priceless archaeological find in we'll say, rapidly destabilizing structure.
Yeah.
Whatever this is, if it's a species of ant or whatever's doing this, it's only a matter of time before the whole mess just collapses in, and then up above you're going to end up with a new crater or ravine that opens up in the mountain. It happens all the time.
Yeah. And that's actually sort of my thought about what this is. Like, if these things tunneled this out, right? Like, whatever these things are tunneled this out.
Right.
And they found a cave entrance, and this rock was brittle enough that they could just rip away chunks of it and then just chuck those chunks out, then they could pretty much tunnel as deep as these ripples go. And like, that would explain the thing that's been bugging the shit out of me this whole time is that idea that it looks like it was done with industrial boring equipment, right? Like, would this explain that if it was chipping away like that?
Actually, yeah. If the stonework is more brittle, you can definitely actually do more work with more primitive tools, and then you can always go in and I'm thinking of like pumice even. You can go in if you've got enough time and sandpaper on your hands, you can smooth pumice out. Right.
And they might have done that if this was a holy site, right? Like, again, not my background, but I've seen shit like this before where they've.
Right. So now, okay. I think, your theory's got teeth here. Now the problem being, if that's the case, how fucking long did it take for them to do this? Like I said, polishing porous rock, you can do it. It takes time, lots of time.
I don't know.
You can't do. I mean, you can do much more with harder rock. So, no, this is we've stumbled on a lot more than what we initially signed up for here. This is important. This is very important that we need to get as much information as we can while we can.
Yeah.
Because this site could go at any time.
So,
All right.
well, that's how. Sorry.
And my sound was off. Sorry about that. My headphones were like, my headphone volume was all like messed up, so y'all might have been talking and I didn't hear jack shit. I was just rambling.
You were saying
Sorry
while
about
that's
that.
happening.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I mean, I was talking. I didn't hear anybody that might have spoken up after I got done rambling.
Okay. Rin, you were doing something. Or sorry,
Yeah.
Dr. Jones.
So Dr. Jones is going to go talk to Paolo for a little bit before going back to her tent and flipping through some notes in her notebook before just kind of like nodding, and then is going to go straight to Ella and is going to grab Ella by the arm and pull her over to the side.
What's going on?
All right. I need your help. These guys are not going to let us go back in. We need to go back in. So I need you to help push them with me. Looking through all my notes, looking through some of the stuff, the temple matches up. The structure of the temple matches up to some older Incan temples. If we go back to the temple, there's going to be a door. There's going to be, usually behind the altar, it looks like it's a wall. But if you go past it, you'll see that there's a small opening. If we go through there, we come to an inner chamber where the priests used to go. I think there's records back there. We need to go and see the keeper of records.
Yeah, I'm on your side with this one. I'll help give him a push. And if you as Dr. Jones had like grabbed her arm, in Ella's hand is her sketch notebook combo, and like if you look at it, you'll see she's drawn this figure like many times, and that the original drawing, which kind of had more kind of like traditional sort of the devilly horns, that they're now the more accurate representation with the antennae. So they're all like scribbled black as well, like scribbled black in every figure, and the woman has just this like very like neutral expression. So she and Ella kind of glances back over to the notebook and then back at Dr. Jones. Yeah, I agree that we have to go back. I mean, I didn't really want to leave in the first place, to tell you the truth, but everybody was like so worried, and like I know that we have to be careful, but I agree we need to go back. So yeah, just line it up. I'll knock them down.
I need you. How good are you at lying?
I mean, I'm a connoisseur, you could say. Had to get away with a lot. Lot of forged report cards, things like that. Yeah, I got it. Don't worry about me there.
You need to convince them that we're on a timetable. I'm going to mention the records. You need to tell them that in your research on the paper in your second year, third semester, I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
But that the integrity of the ropes could be fraying, as is from the air coming through. And if that air hits the chamber with the temple, it could start fraying immediately. Something like that. I don't care. Whatever you have to do.
And a smile just spreads across her face, and she's like, absolutely. I've got you.
And she'll give this awkward squeeze, trying to be like, it's a weird action, because like even Dr. Jones is kind of like awkward about it. Just squeezes like Ella's shoulder, was like, and then walks away.
Do you squeeze her shoulder with your bandaged arm or with your good arm?
With my good arm.
Okay, perfect.
Cool. Suspicious at all.
We're probably making our way back by this point to the group.
Yeah.
So, once we've rejoined everybody, I just kind of take the opportunity here to kind of address the group. So, I did some deliberating here with Mark, and it's my professional opinion that this cave system isn't entirely structurally sound. Lucas, I don't know if you've noticed this or not. If try, you know what? Here, actually, let me demonstrate, and I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna like take everyone over to just a section of the floor, kind of like separate from where we've been, and I'm gonna find one of those ripples, and I'm gonna take my rock hammer, and I'm just gonna start demonstrating like. Okay, and I'm just going to take my hammer and I'm just going to go pink, and I'm going to get closer and closer to the ripple, and then...
And that's exactly what happens. It's like normal rock, kind of weird, pop through like half an inch of rock.
I'm going to look over at Lucas and be like, imagine putting a piton in that shit.
That was the very first thing that came to my mind, actually.
Just turns into shale.
Now, currently the setup to get up and down here doesn't require you guys to use that. You have a lowering system from the top and you have a lowering system from your camp. But they are very right. If you were to have to free climb this, it would be difficult at very best.
So, it's only a matter of time before if there's any more domes further deep into the mountain, because they intentionally kept digging down deeper. I don't know why.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah. So
that also definitely puts a damper on going back and forth through the series of passages.
Right.
Because us going through those, it's really potentially only a matter of time till just the vibration from our passage weakens the rock around us.
So we should build a bigger camp.
No, we need to do what we can while we're down here, while things are still in place.
So potentially what we could do is, if we can get word of this back up, we could get materials to reinforce some of these passages, at least somewhat. It's not a permanent fix, but it's certainly a stopgap that could still at least ensure access to the secondary chamber that we found so far.
Right. Now, I don't
want you all to lose access to everything here.
Right. Now, I want to bounce this off you here, Lucas. I'm going to yield to your professional opinion, but would it make more sense to have you and Spencer on either end doing a ferry system, kind of like tandem parachute jumping, instead of having all of us go back and forth as one great big elephant herd? You could even do that with some of the bigger pieces of equipment, going back and forth through the tunnel.
Realistically speaking, it's going to be the same amount of traffic. It's just going to be multiple trips. More trips through passages like this is going to increase risks of problems as they are right now. I guess that's the nicest way to say it.
Right. I was just thinking on congestion. If we can have a better handle on we can move more carefully, is what I'm trying to say. Foot traffic is one thing, but being as careful as we can with that foot traffic is the angle I was going for.
No, yeah, us schlepping as much as we can back. If your goal is to move as much as possible to that other camp that we have set up, probably, yeah, Spencer and I taking care of the large portion of moving everything would be ideal.
I would actually recommend the opposite. I would actually recommend trying to get as much of our stuff back from there that we absolutely don't need back.
You've left most of the stuff you don't need there. You've brought back things that are important to you.
Mhm.
All that's left there is like second sleeping bags, some water, which would be really the only thing you'd have to worry about bringing back, but that would operate under the assumption that for whatever reason you couldn't leave this place. In which case, an extra day of water probably isn't going to do you much good anyway.
Right. Mark, all of your expensive gear is still here, though, correct?
Most of it's over there, actually. Yeah.
Oh.
I figure most of the stuff we're actually going to be doing from, like, we've already done all of the shots of us coming down and arriving. The stuff that is actually going to matter is going to be shot in the city itself. So it didn't make a whole lot of sense to schlep all this stuff back.
Color me a little bit confused as to why you're wanting to bring everything back here. I thought that back there was the bigger discovery. I mean, realistically, we came back here because I packed enough for that trek out for a night, maybe two, if we ran into any difficulties. But we don't, as far as I understand, that's where you want to do everything, so we would be moving more supplies deeper in.
And let's just say I'm having a moment of indecision just because I'm now taking into account the fact that we are sitting underneath a death trap.
So
I'm wanting to make sure
no offense, Doc, but literally every time you come down into any kind of cavern, anytime you go subterranean, you're stepping into a death trap.
Yeah.
Right, but
I don't know any nicer way to say it.
Right, but this is whether or not I'm putting
life.
my stack of chips on black or on 00 on roulette, though. That's what I'm trying to see what I mean.
So your concern is like we're basing this on the possibility that it could collapse before we actually get a team down here, or whether we just verify the site and leave. Is that what we're?
I'm trying to think we might need to triage exactly what sort of information we gather while we're down here.
So for what it's worth, the passages that we just went through, the passages that we just went through, that wasn't a new formation of any kind. That's been open and been there a long time.
I'll yield to your professional opinion then.
Mm-hmm.
We're good.
Now, as I said, we could get word back up topside and try to get some materials down here to try to reinforce some of the spots that definitely look a little suspect, I'm not gonna lie.
I'll go.
That would be an option.
All right. Tell you what, I'm gonna draw up a list of things that we might need to have sent back down here. I'm gonna send one of the generals up top with a basic report, just so they know what's going on, and then whatever we need to do to figure out. It probably wouldn't be a bad idea just to take an hour or two of nice, comfortable rest. And then we can get back on it after lunch.
Whatever you want to do, boss.
And Ella, folds her arms. If you never bet, you can't win.
You also don't lose.
Calculated risks. If you... Look, I know what you got in your stats class.
I don't see how that's relevant.
I'm trying to say law of averages.
Lucas is walking away.
You don't gamble if you know you're gonna lose. That's what I'm trying to say. I take calculated risks. I take calculated bets, and right now I'm not liking what I'm seeing, and I'm starting to hedge.
I'm just saying, we came down here for a reason. If we don't take advantage of this opportunity, we're never going to get it again.
I understand that. I also don't want to...
There can only be one first in here, and that's us.
I also don't want to have to be... I don't want to have to write a letter to your dad saying that you died in a cave-in, is what I'm trying to say, God damn it, alright?
Okay, at that, Lucas is going to turn around. Oh my fucking god, seriously. Dispense with the paranoia. I'm fucking done with it. I literally stood here a couple minutes ago fucking telling you that everything's alright. Alright? So either you, Doc, can stop questioning my professional fucking opinion, or I can hie my happy ass back up there with Spencer, and you can finish the rest of this yourself if you know so damn much.
I'm yielding to your professional opinion. I'm just
Okay, so quit going at her, and quit bandying about this shit about I don't want to have to write a letter to your dad, blah, blah, blah. That's going to be my ass writing it, because it's going to be my damn fault.
If he's not concerned about the shell, I'm not concerned about the shell.
Alright, then I won't be concerned about the shell, but the peanut gallery can also shut the fuck up. And I shoot a glance over at Ella, and I go about writing my report.
Doc.
That's racist terminology, just so you know. We're eliminating that from our vocabulary. I'm just saying.
I'm gonna kind of wave Dr. Jones over and be like, we do need to take a look at your arm, though.
I got Paolo to look at it. And she'll go and she'll kind of roll up her sleeve a little, and it looks like there's a fresh bandage on it.
Is Paulo with us right now?
Yeah, Paulo was down here because you guys haven't sent them back up with their list of things to get yet. And she did go over and speak with Paulo. You at least glanced at that while you were still dealing with this rock and then the fight.
How'd it look, Paulo?
Looked fine.
Define fine. Are we looking at a potential microbial infection here? What's the deal?
Looked like a hurt arm with bandages. I'm not a doctor.
Right.
In fact, I might be the least doctor of all the doctors down here.
So you said it looked fine then, Doc?
It looked fine.
I'm looking at Dr. Jones here.
It's fine. It's irritated, but we went through and we cleaned it out. It'll be fine.
It's definitely a look of I don't really believe you, but it's not really my job to be everyone's. Like I'm nakedly showing a so it's like that then face, and I'll just walk off.
I mean, you can smell like a little bit of vapors around her, so like there's like some sort of there's like ointment or some kind of vapors around her, so maybe.
The bandages did look new. They didn't look like the ones you put on.
All right.
Clean.
All right. I'll just walk off. Not my job to fight people on their own medical care. That was never part of my job.
All right. So I think with the agreement that we're going to be heading back to the other camp, we are going to take our break just a scooch early today, and we'll pick back up as we head into that. So we'll see you guys in about 5 minutes. Bye. welcome back. So we are going to continue with this episode. We're going to skip ahead just a scooch, so we'll do just a little bit of housekeeping. So you get your note with the things that you want brought down, written up. Are you sending just kind of one of the grunts up with that, or are you sending Paolo up with that?
No, I still require Paolo's assistance down here. This is just one of the general red shirt, general laborers. No one important, no one of note.
Perfect. Red shirt number 5 heads off.
Yep.
Are we moving the bulk of the camp to this second location, or are we just kind of moving back there with another day in mind? That would probably be up to Kent and Lucas. You can feel free to just sort of make that decision in or out of character as you prefer.
Well, I believe it sounded like from the plan that we're moving a lot of stuff back there, since it seems to be the consensus that that's where the big bulk of the research is going to be done. And after, we slept on it, we have, decided that those weird noises, it doesn't really matter.
Caves are weird, man. All right, so that's what we'll do. For all intents and mechanics purposes, the primary camp will now be moving to that secondary location, and this will become sort of your fallback stuff. So you're only going to leave like a day or two of water here. You'll move the bulk of the water, bulk of the food, tech, so on and so forth. So
basically, I assume that either Lucas or Spencer will offer that we'll be the ones that have to make a trek back and forth to signal up that we're fine down here, but whatever.
Yeah, you guys can make that call even based on, who's done more of that 12 hours or so.
That can't end tragically for anybody.
No, I love splitting the party. I'm very nice when that happens.
We'll cover more ground that way.
Shut up, Sound was going to say that.
It's not too late.
So during the break, they somehow did all of this moving of stuff. So we'll pick back up with all of you safely making it through one last course of this labyrinth. The last of the things are delivered. Everyone has arrived. Your head count is correct. Sound came through. He held his shit together. He did not help move anything else. Once he was through, and
I think I probably would have just been like, do not let the more capable people do that.
I'm pretty sure that to help cover him, Lucas basically like, hey, can you start, getting me an inventory of everything just so that, on each trip through, we can make sure that we're getting everything we need. Thanks, man.
Yeah. And Sound gets on it, and you can tell that he knows he's being given busy work, and he's thankful for it. Yeah. So we'll pick up right back here where we were in the secondary cavern. You guys have now brought the majority of your lights with you, so you can see this area a lot better overall. You're no longer just on headlamps and flashlights. So the closer you are to where you've come out of this labyrinth, the buildings are similar to your initial camp, but the further in you go, the larger they seem to be. There's a couple that have an almost second story sort of appearance to them. The temple is definitely the largest building, and you can now, when you look out, you can now actually see it without having to rely on the drone.
So after Dr. Kent helped get everything kind of situated, he is now set up his own little personal, we'll say, academic throne room. He's got sections for any artifacts that are going to get bagged and tagged and brought back. Everything is nice, neat, and orderly. He has a system in place for every little scrap that's going to come out of here, including any archival documents, any of the sketchings and whatnot. Everything is getting sorted to where they can literally pack up, grab this shit, and run if they need to, and not miss anything.
Perfect. So that is quite an endeavor as the day goes on.
Mm-hmm.
So where are we heading first, assuming we're going straight into our research here? Back to the temple? Perfect.
Yeah, Ella's going with Dr. Jones for sure there.
I'm
gonna
staying
run
behind
this
working.
You're going to stay behind and work? Perfect.
Okay, have fun, don't die.
Who else is going with Dr. Jones and Ella?
I'm going to follow where the action is with the camera. I've gotten enough B-roll of the camp, so...
Sound also goes with you.
Yeah, I guess.
Our sound also goes with us.
Yeah, I guess.
Oh, God.
It's gotta hold the boom.
Yeah.
Which was
Paolo's my
super
buddy,
fun
by
to
the
get
way.
to the labyrinth, no less.
I have a buddy, I have Paolo.
Yes, you have Paolo. Lucas and Spencer are also busying themselves unless you want to go to the temple. And I guess that's one.
No, weird bug corpse temple is. I am not getting paid for that, so.
Weird.
Yeah, we're gonna be busy over here.
Very important inventory that needs to take place. You need to double check sounds
Inventorying.
inventory.
We're gonna get dinner ready. We're making sure like the tents and everything are set up. We got just go do your thing.
Yeah, and you have work to do now that you've moved all of this stuff here. So you guys aren't just pretending to have busy work. You're busy. All right, so Dr. Jones, Ella, Mark, and Sound. You head back to the temple. Dr. Jones, you had mentioned a back wall. Is that what we are looking for? All right.
Now that we have more lights, I bet that it would be easier to see.
It is, in fact, and since you actually know what you're looking for, you find it before Ella would even have a chance to spot it. You know exactly the kind of shape that you're looking for. So behind the dais where you had found your statue, quote unquote, and probably one of the reasons we didn't find it last time due to the abject horror, you find this almost an outcropping at first. It's been designed to look like another statue should sit inset to it, but it's actually an entrance to get in behind basically a false wall. All right. And you come into a back room that is quite large, and there are a number of things of note in here. So can I get an intel... let's go intel academics from our two academics. And Mark as well, if you'd like to roll for intel academics. Or if you're just
archaeology or ancient cultures spec?
Yes.
I got 1 success on my 3 dice.
Cute.
Yeah, adorable.
I got 8, baby.
Oh. Hey. All right.
I'm just too excited.
You are. You're having trouble taking it in. You're like a kid in a candy store just a little. You're like, oh, look at this. But over here is you're definitely boinging around. Mark, you're definitely trying to follow her. And Ella has her academic pants on, clearly. She's like taking things in as she discovers them, making notes.
Is this kind of the one space we're staying in for a little bit? This seems like we've got a lot of info here.
In this particular room, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to set up the 2 big battery-powered lights on either side, so it's like bright in here. That'll help them, but it'll also help us, so...
Definitely. So
okay.
When you illuminate this room, a number of things become very clear. There are multiple female depictions on the walls, similar to the ones you came across in the original building. These depictions range in size and slight differences in the depictions. Some of seemingly broader shoulders, some of seemingly wider hips. But you don't know if that's meant to be accurate to something or just differences in the person who made them. Hanging beneath each of these depictions is a kipu, which are the knotted ropes that Incans used for their records. They're hung in a very unusual pattern to anything Dr. Jones has seen before or that Ella has seen in her textbooks. Each relief figure has a strand, or the remains of a strand, since rope does break down, beneath it, and then also between each of them. Most of the kipu are frayed and moldering, looking almost moth-eaten, but a little intact. They appear to track some sort of time, and the cords beneath the figures track a period of anywhere from what appears to be 1 to 10 days. And then the cords between them seem to track anywhere between a matter of weeks to a small number of years. The closest figure to you is still a few feet from the door, and there is what appears to be an unfinished quipu hanging beneath it. It lists a time of 12 days, and then it's in unraveled strands. This was clearly never knotted off and finished. That is what we have discovered in this room.
What's with the braids, Doc?
System of records. So they didn't really have as many written records so much as the quipu, which are these ropes. And so the knots mean different things.
So wait, that like they write with knots?
To a degree, yes.
Interesting.
And Ella will kind of point out to Dr. Jones this unfinished one and be like, Doctor, this one's kind of seems unusual. It seems like it's unfinished. I'm thinking it says like 12 days and then it's just not finished. What do you think? I mean, why would it be interrupted?
Could be they were waiting on a event to happen. From the different ways that everything is set up, it looks like it was more marked time, potentially marked time between events, rituals. Maybe they were waiting for something else.
Yeah, waiting for something. And then it's interesting that the feminine figures, I mean, there does seem to be some diversity in terms of body type and body composition, so it's interesting that they're not all uniform. I'm kind of wondering what that also could signify beyond just like trying to represent whatever population was down here.
Hard to tell. Could be anything from a very female-centered worship to this society itself could be very matriarchal.
Right. And as like Ella is studying everything, you know, quite in an organized and focused way, as the dice bless me to do, you can almost see some of that, like the glibness, the smugness, some of that is definitely falling away in that moment, and this sort of more academic side that has been this student for, I mean, Ella's been in school since, you know, presumably preschool and like never stopped, and she's over 30. So this is ultimately something that she enjoys, otherwise she wouldn't keep doing it. So some of that has kind of fallen away, and you do get this more like intellectual side, I think, of her at this moment. And storyteller.
Yeah.
Do we see more? Is there any more like insect activity? Now, Ella's not touching anything, but is there? I know. I'm thinking about it. But
touch everything. Touch
I know,
everything.
right?
Go to the Prometheus School of Archaeology.
So I guess I'm just wondering, are there any other like carcasses like in this different room? Is there anything that would suggest like this insect activity?
No, this room is actually very, very clean. Obviously there is like dust and things like that. You have obviously stumbled into an ancient room. But even sort of the amount of decrepitness you've found elsewhere is definitely lessened in here.
Okay, that's interesting.
Preserved? Is that what we could describe that as, better preserved?
Yeah, I would say it looks better preserved. Now that could be because it's quite an internal room and everything else you've discovered has mainly been door open room, and this actually had sort of a way in, so a lot less of the elements that were down here would have found their way in. But even above that, it definitely seems a little cleaner in here.
And Ella looks back to the doctor. So is this purely a record-keeping space, like behind this? This almost like, is it meant to be hidden? Who was accessing this place? Do you think the priests?
Probably priests or people of note.
Right. I mean, definitely well maintained.
Are there any divots in the ground?
Oh yeah.
Like any kind of basins, if you will.
You do see sort of a small, almost not quite dug out. It looks more like worn down basin off to sort of one side of the room.
Does it look like anything is missing? Like a place where like there was dust and there like what there isn't dust in that, like something was sitting on it, or like some kind of indicator that something was moved or manipulated in some way?
No, nothing in particular that stands out to you.
That's cool. All right.
But I will take a, let's go with a wits and awareness from Ella, and let's have another stamina from Dr. Jones. And how you do on it will depend whether or not you get a wits and awareness roll.
Oh no.
I have a 2.
2 successes?
2 successes.
All right, so yeah, go ahead and give me a wits and awareness roll.
Concealed object?
Yes.
Okay, I got 4.
Perfect. Let's see who spots the stuff first.
Yeah.
5.
5? All right. So, Dr. Jones, you know you should have spotted this faster. Like, without question, you know you should have spotted this faster, but your arm is really kind of aching, and, like, you're starting to worry about maybe you bruised it a little more than you thought you did. You're definitely doing that kind of, like, thing a lot as you're trying to shake out this achy, heavy, burny kind of feeling that's starting to spread up from your forearms, and it's definitely moving upwards. This feeling is expanding. But as you're kind of doing your like everything's fine, you look ahead and you spot it just before Ella spots it. There appears to be another one of those inset areas where a statue might have gone, just like you walked through to get into here.
Round 2, electric boogaloo.
What's that?
Let's go.
Okay, hell yeah.
So Dr. Jones forges ahead, and are you following her, Ella?
Oh yeah.
All right, Mark, are you scrambling to follow them?
Yeah, I will come along and I'll hang back just a little bit. I'm going to kind of go for the discovery angle, so following from a little bit of a distance.
And while like we're walking through and like cognizant that Mark is behind and like presumably cameras, it's like I'm like, yeah, by the way, if you could please get my left side of my face, that's like the good side. You know, like my eyes a little bit more open, the lips are a little plumper. I didn't have time to get my lips done before I came here, so just get the left side if you could, please, and thanks.
If you stay on the right, then we'll get your left side.
Perfect, and she'll position herself.
You can almost hear Dr. Jones rolling her eyes. She is rolling them so hard.
You just hear like squeak.
Audible scorn.
And I'm going to motion for sound to bring one of the lights.
She's old, so when she does the head thing, you can hear like one of her bones crack.
Back in camp, Lucas just be like, I have no idea why, but I just rolled my eyes so hard that I think I saw my brain.
I sense it. Ella's
just kind of
Ella's back.
There's a disturbance in the force.
Something stupid's happening.
Someone's back on their
Sound's going to
bullshit.
kick one of the lights forward. We'll leave the other one in the main room, but wherever we end up going, we'll just set a fresh light up there.
All right. So you guys get into this room, and this is a smaller, almost more intimate room. There is a raised platform that is about just a little taller than waist high on our ladies. So about waist high for Mark. It's about 5.5 feet long. So perfectly sized for someone to lay down on if they so wish to do that. Around this room are, yeah, listen to Lucas down there. Around this room are several moldering baskets. So, of course, weaving doesn't stand up very well to the elements. These are sort of holding their shape, but they appear to be holding their shape only by dint of their own integral strength. Dr. Jones, you've been on enough digs to know that this is the kind of item you have to treat very delicately. There are also a small number of jars inset into the back wall, looking almost sort of like a medicine cabinet sort of thing with these small jars in it that are also stone jars.
Tell the others, like, hey, these baskets can fall apart at any moment. Try to be very careful getting near them. I don't know how well they're gonna hold up, and they look like they're not holding up well at all. So.
And you hear sound noisily shuffle further away from whichever one he was standing closest to.
Is there any, upon entering this more intimate chamber, is there any particular sounds or smells that would differ? Okay.
It smells very sweet in here.
Sweet.
Yeah, there's a smell of something very sweet in the air.
So Ella's kind of like...
sweet?
No, not like putrefaction sweet.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, because that was my first thing, was rot, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
What was that?
Like honey?
Honey would be a very good thing to assume it might be.
Honey.
Like a nectar of sorts.
What is
Question.
Yeah, what is it? Yeah, what?
On the table, for a better lack of term, are there any inscriptions or anything on it? Any pictures?
There are.
More?
There are.
Okay.
So around the edge of this table is carvings, and you can tell the difference between what you've been seeing on the walls and this, but it appears to be a stylized version of the cave wrinkles. But instead of being inset into the walls the way you've seen them, these have clearly been carved out of a tool of some sort.
Carved to match them?
Yes.
Ella, are you seeing this? Mark, can you get a little bit closer? I need some more light.
Yeah. And I'll come in with the light and the camera.
Yeah, I see this too.
Are those the cave? Like they're the same as the cave wrinkles, right?
They're the same, but these are man-made.
Suggesting worship.
Reverence minimum. Whatever they were, these wrinkles were important to them.
That's weirdly unsettling.
And Ella kind of is just like looking upwards and thinking, and sort of takes another like smell of the air, and she's like, okay, so I think I'm putting some things together here. I mean, hear me out. You can tell me if I'm completely wrong or whatever, but
theories are never wrong. They're just theories.
True. So There are all these feminine figures. There were the ant carcasses. Now we're smelling this sweet smell that, has this reminiscent honey quality. Hive of insects, queen bee. So, a powerful feminine figure potentially ruling over this city with many, many, many subservient workers, maybe dying off, maybe being killed by the queen, killing each other for her favor. That's what comes to mind, is this whole bee structure. And I mean, think about it. There are these domes, like a hive. Now,
Really good.
why? Why? And then how does that tie into what you were explaining, like, yesterday, which is like this concept of hell and eating rocks as like this punishment? So is there this feminine figure that's sort of lording over this hellish underworld? And then these wrinkles seems like a passageway. You look in an ant farm that you could get as a kid, and all you see is all those little tunnels. And the ants are moving through and doing their thing. And so you kind of combine this ant imagery with this bee imagery. I mean, both insects, obviously. And then I'm starting to see this picture. But was there only one figure, or was it this feminine oligarchy of power, and then all these workers doing, working towards not sure what, the eternal punishment of those with the misfortune to live here?
Did the knots back there indicate, like, rain time? Like, the amount of time that, like, are we looking at, like, because I remember, like, the tombs, they had the periods of times that the pharaohs ruled or whatever. Is that kind of is each one of those like an in memoriam for whoever the ruler was?
It's hard to say. A lot of them were time periods of days.
So before you can answer any further, there is a loud crash slightly to the left of you. And sound goes, fuck, shit, fuck, sorry, no, fuck, shit, I'm so sorry. And you turn around and
Jesus
Sound
Christ.
has solidly tripped over one of these baskets. Due to his complete failure at not tripping over the basket's roll.
What in the actual fuck, man?
And he's like sprawled on the ground. Boom has gone a clattering. Luckily, he has landed on only one basket, and it collapses underneath him. It doesn't even fall apart like sand. It falls apart like it's made of nothing.
I'm sorry about this, guys.
And he's just sitting on the floor in like wide-eyed shock, all akimbo, limbs everywhere. The other baskets appear to be fine, but the one he has landed on have released in a clatter more bone. But these bones shine.
Shine in what way? Like there's an inner light shining, that they're like shining like a gem, like
shining like they've been cast in metal. These bones appear to have been cast in silver.
And Ella is very pointedly completely ignoring Sound. She doesn't acknowledge what he's done or like call him a dumbass or anything. She just is completely ignoring him because she's trying to continue to put these pieces together. And she looks at Dr. Jones.
And Sound slides himself out.
I'm gonna stop him and just like bodily grab his forearms and pull him straight up so he disturbs as little of it as possible. I'm just like, do not fucking move. Let's go, and pull him up into standing position and basically put him against the wall near the entrance. Just hang back. We got.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And he flattens back against the wall, very much obeying the look with your eyes, not with your hands, like his hands are now behind his back.
Yeah.
Hey, storyteller,
Yes.
these baskets, are they clustered in a way that one could, relatively call them nests?
No, but why don't you guys both go ahead and give me an intel insight check. And while we're at it, you can go ahead and give me a stamina roll. Just
For no reason. I will
Totally
do the stamina
unrelated.
roll
No
first.
reason in particular.
1.
one stamina. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go ahead and burn the sanity, as we have established here. So that will put me at 8. So I'm going to do a quick reroll.
Go ahead.
2.
2 on your insight one.
2 on
Go
my
crazy
insight.
in the middle of the temple. It's fine. Everything's
I'm at
fine.
9 sanity. I'm fine. I'm
Hey,
fine.
look, they're fine. I'm the only crazy one here.
I got 5.
Oh, perfect. It just occurred to me I should really roll sound sanity, and let's see if he does any better at that. Get your shit together, man.
Yeah, get your shit together. It's awkward to have to fire somebody underground.
All right. So with your stamina roll, your eyes feel hot, and like your mouth is starting to get really dry, and like there's this weird ringing in your head. Maybe you've been underground too long. Maybe you need some water. Did you even eat dinner last night? You can't even really remember. Anyway, these baskets.
Oh
The
no.
baskets.
Now, Ella, you don't feel like your eyes are hot. So you're able to actually have a look at these baskets. And as you start kind of taking a count around, you realize that they actually correspond to the female figures from the previous room. They appear to be lined up in the same general areas. There's the same number of baskets, same number per wall as the female figures were depicted.
And is Ella like clocking the fact that Dr. Jones is like feeling distressed in some way?
You're
Distracted?
definitely. Yeah, she seems very distracted. Now,
Okay.
you've been around some eccentric-ass professors before, so this isn't like a huge, crazy red flag,
Okay.
but it seems
Okay.
weird for what you've seen of Dr. Jones.
Okay, so Ella, in true wasp fashion, will ignore that, and because why would we
Get
talk
her a
about her feelings?
Vicodin.
Nah, yeah, it's fine. And a dry martini.
Does
just,
anyone have a Vicodin?
Kit have the vermouth
Sound
just
does.
touch the edge of the glass. That's all. So
Can I get a nice rim with that cocktail? You know what? We'll go. I'd like a sugar rim, please.
A honey rim?
a
honey rim?
honey rim.
Well, that honey is certainly edible.
So Ella will relay to Dr. Jones and Mark about this correspondence with the figures, and kind of just like explain what you just did, storyteller. And she goes, okay, so more and more of it is lining up. So I'm guessing that the number of figures is also important. Or
Figures
There-
are there?
yeah, that was my next question. How many?
Oh,
like
sorry.
how many? Yeah. No, you're fine. We're on the same
there
page.
Are there 6 figures?
No. There are about... It's about 16 depicted figures in the other room. And if you do the math to sort of count up all of the time that's kept in the Kipu in the other room. It spans probably about 112 years, give or take. You can't be totally sure because some of the Kipu are damaged, but you'd feel pretty confident giving it around that kind of time frame.
Is there a basket for the unfinished Kipu?
Yes.
Okay.
Does it have anything in it?
Are you going to open it? It is not the one that sound fell on.
Oh, okay.
If Ella sprayed it with her hairspray, would it hold together better?
It would hold together better.
Do you want to try it?
Yeah, okay. So,
No, these are not liable to like fall apart at your breath on them. I recommend not falling on them with 5 dice of failure.
yeah, no,
They will not stand up to that. But
Don't be sound.
Don't be sound.
yeah, in conclusion of this game, big moral, don't be
Don't
sound.
be sound.
Don't be sound.
That would not be a
but-
sound decision.
All right, ladies and gentlethems at home, remember, don't be sound.
Don't be sound. You have worked with baskets like this before, Dr. Jones. Assuming the dice are on your side, you'd theoretically be able to open this with minimal damage to it. Ella, you've studied this theory. You have never performed it in practice.
okay.
So,
So,
want me to
I will, if that's what you're doing. Ella, did you have something else you wanted to do first?
oh,
Sorry.
yeah, I thought I would.
No
Am
worries.
I gonna spray it first before it's handled?
That's totally
Go
up
for
to
it.
you guys.
Okay, so what I would like to do is Ella will look at both Dr. Jones and Mark and probably toss a glance over to Sound. Does anybody have like a nitrile glove?
Yeah, I mean, you guys have gloves and stuff down here.
Okay, so someone gives one to me. And
probably in someone's kit.
Yeah.
okay, cool. So I'll put it on my right hand, my dominant hand, and out of my one of the side pockets of my backpack, I'll pull that tiny little can of hairspray, and I'll just I will very gingerly hold the basket, and I will spray it liberally with this hairspray, and then I will open it.
All right. So to open it, let's get a Dex. We'll go with Dex Academics.
Okay.
A little bit of physical, a little bit of know-how.
I like
The
it.
basket explodes if you fail and we all
Yeah.
die.
Catches
But
fire.
if you pass, there might be a puppy in it.
Puppies!
This is where the
Saying you don't
puppies
bet, you
are.
never
Open up the
win.
basket.
Yay,
There's
puppies!
definitely a puppy in it.
And I'm
There's
sure they're
a puppy
totally
in it.
fine after like several hundred years.
Couple hundred years down
Hey,
here.
it's a bronzed puppy, okay?
Oh, okay.
Counts.
Is that better?
Suddenly the dog from Futurama jumped into my head and I made myself sad.
No, you're not allowed to mention the sad
Oh
moment from
no,
a
not
dog.
that one. Not that one. I'm
We're
burning
here to
another
entertain the audience,
Yeah,
not
I
to
know.
arrest them.
sanity.
You're burning another sanity?
Correct.
Oh,
Gorgeous,
fun.
gorgeous.
Nice. This is
Like I
fun.
said, go and sit in the temple. It's fine.
We don't need
This is
any of
important. I
that.
don't want to miss this. Okay, that's very nice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
6? All
Yeah.
right. So you open this with only mild damage to it. It is nigh impossible to open something like this with 0 damage to it whatsoever, but you do it with the same thing you've done everything down here. A natural knack and not a lot of hands-on skill. So you clearly know exactly what you're doing, even if you're not as good at doing it as your brain thinks you should be. But the lid comes off in one piece, and the inside of this basket is empty, save for what appears to be a gold block. Now, Dr. Jones, you know that the Incas were very well known for their gold and their silver craft, and this is the kind of block you would expect to see pre-use.
And Ella sort of looks at is still just holding the basket gingerly, not touching the gold block, and just observing it. And she looks at Dr. Jones. Offerings?
I'm going to walk back over to the bones that are cast in silver. Is there a block there?
No.
So, wild theory from the back of the room. That's prepped for when the person dies.
That could explain the unfinished.
Yeah. So
That could explain the unfinished record.
the what did you call it? The kappa? The kipu. The kipu was tracking that period of time, and then it didn't end before whatever happened, and that person was never made into a pile of silver bones like all of the ones before.
Pile of gold bones.
Gold bones. Gold bones.
So-
Why gold?
Gold is much more valuable to them.
No, I mean like this one's silver. That one's a block of gold, so different materials.
I will get an intel insight from our two academics, and Mark as well, if you'd like, to put that together.
I'll roll it with my adorable pool of. Oh, that's actually a bigger pool.
3.
3?
I got 4.
4?
I just got 4 successes on 4 dice. Nice.
Look at you keeping up.
All right. Got that brain.
So you guys kind of walk back and forth between these two rooms for a bit, kind of matching up the baskets to the depictions. And the only thing that you can see is that the person who had their bones cast in silver has 7 days of kipu beneath them, and the person who had the gold brick in their basket was already at 12 days. That is the only conceivable difference you can find. The figure who was cast in silver's depiction appears to be just a little bit taller, but otherwise, you don't really see much of a difference. I'll also take a stamina roll from Dr. Jones. Every time you roll die, I'm going to make you make a stamina roll, I think.
Nice.
Good thing you came to the temple.
Yeah, 3.
3? All right.
Good.
You don't feel any better. You don't feel any worse. This mystery has stymied whatever migraine was coming on.
Huh.
So a few days seems like a really short time for rain. I'm assuming that you said that out loud, right? Because I can't read the kipu, so.
Yeah, I'm assuming we're relaying most stuff
Okay,
out loud.
I just wanted to make
Yeah,
sure.
you guys are kind of talking to yourself. You're
Okay.
talking to Mark. You're bouncing ideas. You know, no one's standing here in silence.
So that seems like a really short time for a rain. So I know that like the whole human sacrifice thing isn't like as widespread as it is in the media, but I mean I did say aliens before. I'll be the one to say human sacrifice. Is that a possibility?
Probably very close. It was not uncommon, especially, if there was great need, then there's
Great need?
great sacrifice.
What?
This is also the same with many other cultures. When there's great need, which can be anywhere between, usually it's famine, but many cultures will sacrifice people to their god for blessings.
Well, we can pretty much guarantee
Norse did
famine
it
if
as
they're
well.
living underground. I mean,
Yeah, and they gotta eat rocks. So, like, what are they trying to do? So, like,
Ants go to the surface to collect and bring back down,
yeah.
to then let it... I can't remember. Do ants actually eat the food, or do ants feed a fungus that they eat?
It depends on the type of ant. Like there are ants that allow it to develop its own microbes and bacteria and can eat that, but most ants usually eat what they need to survive and bring the rest back to the hive for consumption by the larva and the queen.
yeah, my entomology class was like my freshman year undergraduate, so like I don't remember that about the ants. I guess if we're framing this all with a sacrifice of some kind, what is the sacrifice for? Like, this is already a bad place to be. So is it some kind of offering to try to escape? To have a chance at redemption?
Does it feel like maybe the society modeled itself after ants? Like they did kind of the same thing? Like maybe they had a short reigning queen and they went above for supplies? Like I feel like we've got like 80% of a puzzle here, but I don't know.
I think that there is some credence to that. That the society is modeled off of these naturally occurring hierarchies with these insects that we've mentioned. I think that stands to reason. Now, why are they emulating that? And do insects have some kind of special significance here? Like the literal insects, because we saw the literal ant carcasses. So what role do they play in the society?
Did the ants sustain them?
Maybe they ate the ants.
Yeah?
Maybe those were their rocks. Because they came from the rocks.
I mean, I'm assuming that's symbolic. Like, and again, the ants, like, I've never seen a species, if we're assuming that the ants were the ones that made the ripples, then I've never seen ants that can tunnel through, like, straight up rock. Like, they can do it with dirt, they can do it with loose, like, they can move loose stones, but they can't burrow through freaking bedrock. Never heard of that before.
Yeah, I mean, you're right about that.
I'm going to grab another stamina roll from Dr. Jones, and I am also going to grab a wits medicine roll from Mark.
Yes. Ow.
That's a 1.
That's a 1.
Oh no. Wits medicine is a bigger pool than...
Do not feel good. As these two are talking, it's just kind of wowing in your head as you're kind of like, the lights in here are so bright and there's not enough air in this room, and you are pretty sure you need to sit down or you're gonna fall down.
9.
Guessing
9 successes?
9 successes on a pool of 8.
Wow. Damn.
Well, there's only one thing to sit on, so I'm gonna sit on it.
Okay, so 2 things happen very quickly. 1, Dr. Jones sits on this table, much to everyone's abject horror. You actually hear sound in the back of the room where he's been very quietly trying to pretend he doesn't exist. Go, oh, don't do that! And as
Sound is everyone's freaking... Sound is the voice of everyone that's not in this scene.
Yeah. Don't do that. Don't.
But it's very quiet and under his breath because he's already made a mess of himself today. And Mark, as you've been talking to Ella, as Dr. Jones sits down, you look at her for the first real time since you guys got in here because you were busy with shots and stuff, not the fun ones. She looks very pale, and her eyes don't appear to be quite focusing right. And as you're looking at her, you can actually see that there is a little bit of blood starting to show where you can see her bandages poking through her, down the bottom of her sleeve.
Fuck. All right, camera goes to sound. And I'm coming forward to the altar where I will kind of gingerly pull her up standing, kind of support her. I'm like, Doc, did you really get that wound checked?
It's fine. I'm fine.
Ella,
it's fine.
We're going back right now. Something is wrong.
Yeah.
Get her other arm.
Okay.
Let's go.
Okay, Ella will take Dr. Jones's other arm then. And
So the two of you keep Dr. Jones between you, and she's trying to walk with you, but she's doing that person who isn't altogether there walk, where her feet aren't going at the same time as yours and her toes are kind of dragging along behind you. And she's sort of mumbling a little bit incoherently. Oh, I have to check the figure, the basket. Like, she's clearly out of it, and she is very, very warm to the touch. You can feel it through her clothes.
And I'm doing the kind of bedside manner vibe of just like, we'll get it. We'll get everything documented. Don't worry. We're just going to get back to camp. Gonna take a look at it.
She gets kind of a clearer view, and she looks up and she sees Mark, and she tries to rip her arm away. Just, don't touch me. You don't get to touch me.
Okay.
Relax. It's cool. Like, we're just helping. Like, that's all it is. Like, we're going back to camp. Like, he's cool.
She's actually leaning more towards on you, Ella. She does
She has
not
not moved away from Ella, just from Mark.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. All right.
And Ella will sort of like, I'll let her sort of like fall in, and Ella will like kind of position herself behind the doctor to sort of like spot her and push her, and Ella does shoot a glance to Mark in that moment, going like,
it's like a.
So out of totally unrelated curiosity, Ella, are you still wearing that nitrile gloves that you put on for the basket?
Yeah, I don't think I took it off.
And Mark, you were not wearing gloves.
Yeah, but I didn't get really the chance to touch her, I don't
Perfect.
think.
No worries. Just making sure who's wearing gloves and who's not wearing any gloves.
Totally innocuous.
That's suspicious. That's weird.
It's for the fan art.
Shh. Ella, just shh. Ella.
What?
Touch you.
What?
There's someone moving at night, and you can't. Don't let them touch you. Don't let them touch you.
So as you guys are dragging Ella back to camp, you two are there, and you've just been kind of going about your business this time and documenting things, and you see these two and Dr. Jones coming back up with Sound following behind them, and Sound is holding the camera, which he has not been allowed to do up until now.
I think...
And Mark appears very okay about the whole situation. But you hear, just as they come up, you hear Ella. You hear Dr. Jones, "Don't let him touch you," as the last words.
Yeah.
And then there's a 2-finger I can't actually do it, but the whistle as we break out, and I'm coming down to you guys.
I think
hence the.
I think Dr. Kent was probably in the middle of starting to get a core drill set up, because he's wanting to actually take some samples of the actual like ground here. But he sees all of that going on. Lucas, doing what Lucas is doing. I think Dr. Kent's going to immediately see that there's a problem and leave them to their own devices. He's going to go track down the nearest first aid kit and start setting something up to bring the doc over to.
Perfect. So you get some clean water open, some bandages prepped, all that kind of stuff. You do have, each of you in your packs has like a little, oops, I scraped my knee medical kit, but there is also like a couple of real medical kits down here. You don't have like EMT kits, there's no like defibrillators or anything, but you have everything that one could conceivably bring. Everyone here is a professional. So you guys drag her into camp. Or I suppose Ella drags her into camp.
Something's up. She's running a high fever.
Fuck.
Sorry.
Yeah, she feels really warm, like super warm.
All right, and I probably have. I've gotten a cot set up for Dr. Jones, and I've gotten everything all kind of laid up by a table there, and I go to kind of help her lie down, take her shoulder, take her arm, help guide her into the cot.
She feels very, very warm, and she also feels what can only be described as squishy.
Did she? And meanwhile, Lucas is just going to be trying to get the rundown from them, so Lucas has no idea about that happening right there. She's like, did she pass out? Is she delirious? Did
She's
anything?
definitely delirious. There's we were observing the site, and she started just being wobbly far away. She's very pale. And then I didn't understand what she was saying before, but as we were dragging her out, she was saying something about things in the dark or something. And now
Okay, so she's delirious then. That's great.
Yeah, I don't.
Okay.
And Mark goes over and gets like, I'm gonna leave the team that know each other to do their thing, but just as a backup, I've got the what's clearly a bigger, more badass medical kit, just kind of on standby in case something happens.
So I'm squishy. Is there any kind of like residue on my hands? You say squishy, and I think.
Where exactly did you touch her to help her?
Well,
down?
I would have grabbed probably I would have put a hand over her shoulder, and then I would have taken another hand and grabbed kind of like bicep area, and just kind of like helped her ease down. So I don't necessarily think I might have touched exposed skin.
No. Yeah, she feels squishy. Like she has too much fluid inside her, basically. But when you take your hand away from where you were touching, because with one hand on her shoulder and one hand on her arm, one way or the other, you were making contact with the injured arm. Whichever hand that is, when you take it away, there's just like a very fine, very, very fine amount of blood on your hand. And when you look at her, where you've pressed the shirt into her, she's got a little bit of blood seeping through. From what you remember, this is not where she got injured, despite being the same arm.
Okay, BBP time. I grab nearest bottle of alcohol, and my hand touched blood. I don't have a glove on. I'm cleaning my hand. I don't know where she's been. I'm sorry, Doc. But
I'm looking over at Hollow right now.
So you clear your hand off.
I clean my hand, and now that we have bodily fluid in play, I'm gloved up, and
Perfect.
I'm not gonna. My first immediate thing is to try to get her fever down. So I'm working on one of those instant cold packs, and I'm putting it on her forehead, and I'm doing immediate first aid triage.
Perfect.
And I'm gonna sideline
Mark-
Hollow. I'm just gonna grab, basically all but physically grab him and be like, "You said you checked the wound.
Yeah, she showed me her arm.
How bad was it?"
I don't know. It seemed fine. It was all bandaged up and good.
Did you check under the bandage when she changed it?
No, I'm not a doctor.
Jesus fucking Christ. We need to
You
get
asked
that
me if I
bandage
saw her
off,
arm.
Doc.
I saw her
I just
arm.
ignore him now. I've just walked
All right.
away.
Gloves on. Okay, gloves on.
Meanwhile, Lucas is going to be talking to Spencer and basically bringing up the one thing that one never wants to have to in this situation. We may need to actually have to figure out just the two of us. Don't want anybody else to do it. The possibility of navigating back through those passages with her on a stretcher, unable to move herself. We need to get her up to the surface level for medical attention.
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
we'll let the film boy figure out what he's doing with her, and then we'll get her on
Yeah,
her feet.
yeah,
You and I can
I
get her
agree.
through there if we have to.
Yeah.
And so I'm checking the bandage. I'm also absent-minded. I'm thinking about ordering an emergency strike at the camp, but I'm not quite there yet. But I pull the bandage up. If I have to take, the medical scissors to cut off the elastic or any medical tape, I'm gonna, yeah.
All right. So you, it's not taped in or anything. It didn't seem to need it when the original wound happened. So you can either just cut the bandages straight off, or you can unwrap it.
We're gonna cut. We're gonna cut and peel.
I'm over the shoulder with a flashlight.
All right. Out of curiosity, are you filming? Because if not, sound has followed you to film this.
He can film it. I'm honestly not paying attention at this point. I feel like
I'm not noticing it either.
But yeah.
So sound is standing behind them with the camera still up. To anyone watching, it doesn't seem malicious. It seems almost more like he just forgot to not be filming anymore whilst he was standing there watching.
Yeah.
So you cut through the gauze, and Dr. Jones's arm is a mess. It is red and swollen, and it's just covered in these seeping holes that go deep into her skin.
That shouldn't be possible. Jesus Christ. We need to get her out of here right now.
Can I go ahead and get a wits? Let's go wits awareness from everyone who is standing close enough to see this arm.
And what about me? I'm ground zero.
Oh, you're seeing it. Let's just see how well you're getting an eyeful.
Okay.
All I hear is squeaking from Johnathan.
No!
Yeah, no, that's not absolutely fucking terrifying or anything. Oh my god.
I saw you both react, and I was like, what are you doing? And then I looked up, and I was like, ugh!
Oh no!
God, so horrifying.
Okay, so if we were playing V5, this would be an actual true crit, so we're gonna say 4 successes on this one.
Sorry, what were we rolling? My brain just broke.
I need a reminder also.
Wits and awareness.
Wits and awareness.
Wits and awareness,
please.
okay. Sorry.
And I'll keep describing while we're rolling. It appears to go up and under her sleeve beyond where she was wounded initially. So either this was much, much, much worse than you ever noticed and much larger, or it has spread.
Okay, I switch into Spanish so I can get my point across, but I just look at Paolo.
6.
I'm like, pack this cap up right now, and I immediately I'm looking at this arm. I'm trying to this is not covered in any kind of fucking first aid book.
No.
No.
Fuck.
Can I make... I need to figure out some kind of triage for this. Can I make a wits and medicine to maybe see if I can make an initial guess?
Yeah, go ahead and make some wits and awareness. So
or wits and medicine maybe, or wits and or whatever.
Yeah,
let's
go ahead and do a wits medicine for triage.
Can I do that
Lucas,
too?
you got 6. Well, we're gonna deal with what you guys see first.
Okay.
How many successes did you get, Mark? Was it 4?
4.
And 3 for Ella. And what was your initial wits and awareness, Dr. Kent? The initial one, because you were
my initial
4.
wits and awareness was 4.
All right. So Ella, you don't see this. This is gross. This is wicked gross. You don't want no part of this. But everyone else, as you are looking at this monstrosity of an injury, unlike anything you've seen before, Dr. Jones reaches over with her hand and goes to kind of like absently scratch at it. And as she does so, you realize that in these holes are these small black fibers coming out of the holes, like a small little thread almost.
No, stop.
And Ella starts trying to pick at it, and as her nails come down, and Lucas, you're the only one who sees this with your 6 successes.
Oh, fuck.
She brings her nails down and tries to get a hold of it, and as she's picking at her arm and can't seem to quite, you realize one of the fibers goes and disappears back into her arm.
Fuck that, no!
And she's just left with some gooey skin on her fingers, and she goes back in to try to get another one.
No, and I'm stopping. Oh, I'm stopping her.
Okay, stop her.
Stop! I'm trying to
Okay,
stop her.
let's all
I'm
give
good.
a big round of applause for this, just right here.
Yes, I'm good.
And let's get a vibe check from everyone real quick.
Yes.
Fabulous. Perfect. So you get a hold of her other arm, and she's just deliriously, like, she's not even fighting you. She's just kind of doing one of those.
There's something inside her.
What? What are you talking about? What? And
All right, hold up, and I'm going to go to her opposite wrist and get a heart rate, and I guess pulse strength. I want to know how close she is to like going down here.
It's pretty low, but it's not like oh shit, she's gonna die on us in the next 5 minutes kind of low. She's definitely got a low heart rate, but it's not even so low that if she wasn't like this, it would give you pause. It's just a low heart rate.
All right, we probably, based on how quickly this devolved, we don't have time for a stretcher. Wrap that arm in gauze, then plastic it. We want to make sure, in case this is some sort of bacterial infection, that we do not touch it.
Yeah.
Wrap that in gauze. Wrap it in plastic. Meanwhile, I want to get a couple of us out through there to prep the route, and we need to start getting a line down here. We need to think clearly and save ourselves as much time as we can. They need to radio up for an airlift.
I order Paolo and one of the other laborers to run on ahead.
Yeah. Paolo hits, he reaches the labyrinth and he kind of stops and he turns and he looks back around at Lucas and he's like, do we just... Look, I can make it. I've been caving for years.
I trust you, man.
All right. And Paolo takes off. He appears to know exactly what he's doing.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have sent him if I didn't trust him.
Yeah.
Just don't ask them to check your wounds for you.
Yeah. With my I got my 3 successes on my wits and medicine to try to attempt to triage this.
How many successes? I'm sorry.
3.
3? All right, so with your gloves still on, you bandage this up. It's almost difficult to bandage because as you're trying to wrap it to a normal degree of tightness, her arm is squelching around as you're trying to wrap it. As the arm moves and moves back, as whatever this is clearly verging on gelatinous.
I stop. I stop what I'm doing.
All right. And she's twitching and rolling and itching and moaning. Storyteller,
this is a very valid question. Would we have had any kind of emergency morphine delivery systems here?
I've got some.
Spiker.
Yeah. I'm going to put a Surette in her leg.
Great.
All right. So, the burning goes down for you, Dr. Jones. You're no longer in anything that could be called akin to pain, but it's still itchy. It's still itchy and crawly.
And Storyteller, I know my roll was low that I didn't see the black fiber situation, but I'm kind of wondering, did I just fully turn away and just am no, and so I'm literally not observing, or am I just sort of taking it all in?
It's really up to you. If you want to turn away, that's fine. The other possibility is just that when she went to scratch at it, that was just too much for you, and so your eyes went to the ground, and now that she's no longer actively, you're like, okay.
He's basically just hyper fixated because he's fucking horrified right now.
Sure,
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah, there were
I just
two
wanna make-
possible reactions: hyperfixation and nope.
And nope, and
Yeah.
I was nope. Yeah. So I was just trying to get an idea of like what I had actually observed. So
Yeah, you can go back to looking as soon as she's no
Cool.
longer.
Perfect. So Ella is going to kind of look at Dr. Jones and sort of like put her hands on her shoulders or like her upper like biceps, still got the gloves on, and she'll kind of look at her and knows that she's under, you know, the effects of the morphine. Go, who's coming at night?
She's delirious.
You're muted.
Someone from the tech team moves at night. Bottle. Where's the
A
bottle?
bottle. And Ella. Okay. And Ella
she's
will
very
get
in
up.
and out.
Yeah, and Ella will get up or move away, and I want to start looking for any sort of suspicious-looking bottle.
Where are we looking?
So she said tech, so
So that could theoretically include
sound.
theoretically Lucas, Spencer, Mark, sound. That's probably who it encompasses. She might maybe be referring to Paolo, since they technically ran all the tech to get you guys down here, but I mean, a fever's a fever. Theoretically, she could mean Daffy Duck came down here.
I think for whatever reason, like, despite her delirium, or Dr. Jones's delirium, Ella is, like, fixated on this information that the doctor has provided her, and so Ella's gonna go to where sound usually posts up and start just looking through
Rifling through his shit.
shit. Rifling through his shit. No pretense of, like, politeness or
Do I
like
see
respect for property.
That really depends on you. You can make a roll for it if you want, or you can assume you're just way too focused
Yeah.
on this woman in front of you. Sound definitely doesn't notice. That much I can guarantee you.
Lucas is
It's a wits awareness?
Yeah, we'll call that a wits awareness to notice her go over there.
6.
Right. And you're not trying to hide this at all, so
No.
no stealth roll.
Nope.
Why don't you give me a wits investigation?
Okay.
Just to see if you find anything either before he comes over or whatnot.
Oh, it hurt me in my soul. I got 1.
1?
Yeah.
Okay. Mark, are you going to go over there, or do you just want to notice her go over there?
I think I'm actually like a little frantic at this point, and I'm happy to have somewhere to focus my energy while they're in the process of wrapping her arm. So I think I'm just going to storm over there.
All right. So as you are going through Sound's stuff, the only thing that seems weird is like this weird scrap of fabric in his bag. You're not really sure what that's all about. And then Mark comes storming over to you.
Do we really have time for this right now?
Well, I'm just making use of the time that we have while we're here. I
So
know
loot
everybody thinks it's
through my
bullshit because
employee
she's
shit?
delirious.
Like, there's a way that this is done, and it's not right now while we're in the middle of a medical emergency. You might have been exposed to some sort of advanced flesh-eating bacteria that I've never fucking seen before. The last thing I want you doing right now is looking through our shit where you could potentially contaminate it too. Let's get her out of here, and then we can have a conversation about whatever the fuck she's talking about.
And Ella sort of just sets her mouth in a hard line at that point and just like stands up from presumably the kind of like crouch position she was in looking through stuff. And she's like, you're right. Conversation later. And
Yeah.
she'll just kind of put down all the stuff. And she's like, okay, fine.
100% down to have this conversation later, because and in good faith, she means pill bottle. But let's fucking talk about it later. Let's go.
Okay, let's go then.
All right. So you guys have done about as much triage as you can do for Dr. Jones here. Are we just bandaging up her arm and calling it a day? Are you looking for any further injury?
So, 2 cents from Lucas, since Lucas's opinion is, look, we are not doctors here. Like, you're a doctor, yeah, you're not a medical doctor.
I'm not a medical doctor. No, hell no.
I don't care how we do it. I don't care if I have to cut up a piece of tarp. We're going to wrap that arm so that we don't come into contact with it.
Yeah.
Order of getting out of here. Unfortunately, this time, everybody is going to be me, her, and Spencer, because we need to move her as quickly as possible.
No, not a problem. What?
So,
Well,
I don't want to touch her. I don't want him touching her. I don't want any of us actually touching that.
no. What I'm gonna do here is I'm actually gonna take whatever. Actually, a sleeping bag. I'm gonna get a sleeping bag. Help. I'm gonna do what I can to get her in it, and then we can just use some rope and use that as a sling and use the sleeping bag as an improv litter. Let's get the sleeping bag and I'll get her situated. And unless
Think we
there's
can
a
work
better
that, Spence?
Man. Yeah.
We're gonna
What
have
else
to.
are we gonna do?
We're gonna make it work.
What else are
We'll
we
make it
gonna
work.
do?
All right, so I'm gonna run up whatever gauze we've got left. I'm gonna do her arm. I'm gonna do whatever I can to wrap her up as good as I can. I'm gonna keep her arm. I'm gonna try to cinch her arms up with the gauze.
So as you're trying to do this, Dr. Jones is definitely fighting you, and she's kind of clawing at her neck and her chest, and she manages to get the top couple buttons of her shirt undone, just kind of by yanking at it. As you're trying to.
Yes.
And it has spread all over her.
I'm done. I back away. I'm not. Doc. Oh God. Oh God.
Shit.
Oh. Spike her again. Fucking spike her again.
We could fucking kill her.
Just
Spike her again. We can't fucking. She can't be doing any. We can't handle her while she's thrashing. Fucking put her under. Do what it get. Spike her again.
All right,
no.
I go and
We
get
have-
a bag out of the tent, and pull a set of like law enforcement style zip ties. I'm not kidding. I have those on my kit, and I zip tie her hands down behind her back.
So Mark is trying to zip tie your hands right now. You gonna let him?
Oh, if you thought she was fighting before, she's
gloves
fighting
are on,
now.
by the
She
way.
is freaking out now.
She is freaking out. She is
Screaming.
flailing.
That's
Twisting.
fine.
Don't
I can
touch me.
I can overpower someone on morphine. This is a medical emergency.
You definitely can. I am going to get a dexterity athletics from you, Mark.
From me? Okay.
Yes. Not because you can't zip tie her, you can. She's a small, feverish woman. But to avoid making any other contact with her.
5 successes on that. I am strong.
5 successes? Alright, so you're pretty confident you avoid her touching your skin in any way. And you do eventually get her hands zip tied. You don't get them zip tied behind her back just because the motion of doing that is kind of flailing her all over, but you do get her hands zip tied down in front of her. And even with that, she's definitely still trying to go for stuff, but she's solidly held together.
Wrap her up in
Alright.
the sleeping bag and let's just fucking go.
So you guys wrap her up in a sleeping bag. And you can still hear her inside, alternating between moaning in something akin to pain and screaming at you for this. You don't know who I am. I'm Dr. June. As the sleeping bag closes over her. And how will we be getting her through the labyrinth?
Before we do anything else, I'm taking the alcohol, and I'm trying to anyone who's touched her, get over here right now.
Yeah.
And I'm burning through whatever alcohol we've got. Arms, roll up your sleeves, and I'm dousing everyone's arms that might have made contact with her.
All right. So everyone who has theoretically made contact and is willing to allow Dr. Kent gets their arms and hands doused in alcohol.
Take your gloves off. Fresh gloves, everybody.
Yeah.
I'm just going to operate under the assumption everyone here is smart. Everyone makes the smart decision for now.
Mm-hmm.
What? No.
Not you, Dr. Jones. You make poor decisions.
On drugs, though.
So you're having the best day. Sound during the course of this at some point just very quietly sets down the camera and very quietly walks about 10 feet away and very messily throws up for about 4.5 minutes.
Yep. I knew he was going to be useless to me.
But he put the camera down very nicely.
Good.
And he didn't trip over any baskets.
Good.
And I think throughout all this, Ella, like all the frenetic activity, I think her response, instead of like this outward panic, is this very much like withdrawal and just not talking, not looking at anybody, complying with whatever anyone is telling her to do. Like she's just kind of doing the shutdown rather than
Survival mode.
Yeah, so she's just like all the pretenses are gone at this point, and she's just going along and not saying anything.
All right. So Ella is having a quiet mental breakdown, but that's okay because it's quiet. Lucas and Spencer, are you two going to be taking Dr. Jones through the labyrinth?
Yes, we are.
Will anyone be accompanying them through the labyrinth, or is anyone planning to stay here?
I will be coming along, and I will provide light. That's the most I can really do, and stay out of the way.
Okay.
Drop most of my gear at this point, keeping the
Dr.
few
Kent?
things.
Dr. Kent, I'm actually going to instruct Ella to stay behind with me. We need to... There's leave no trace, but then there's human life, but we still have to get out of here. So there's some essentials that we absolutely need to take. Heavy gear is getting left behind. I'm having her stay behind with me to round shit up so we can get out of here.
And
All
as
right,
soon as we get her through, we'll come back to help the rest of you.
That sounds like
All
a plan.
right.
We won't go through until someone comes back. Promise.
Good. Excellent.
Sound is like, should I stay here as well?
Yeah, stay here.
Okay. Okay.
And- I'm gonna probably. I'm also, while we're going about this, Sound doesn't get the light duty treatment from me. I'm putting his ass to work.
In what way? What kind of jobs? Labor or?
Yeah, and Harry's diving right along in there. He's packing shit up. He's taking charge. He's being the brutal taskmaster to get us out of here as quickly as possible.
So to Sound's credit, through the course of this packing up, he does what he's told. He does it well enough. If it's his equipment, he does it fine. If it's your equipment, he's like...
Hey, I don't give a shit.
Every once in a while, he goes over to the corner and is violently ill again for a minute or two. But when he's done, he definitely gets his shit and gets back to work.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not riding his ass, but I made it very, very clear I will not tolerate fucking off.
And he seems quite fond of the fact that he has something to do right now that is not using his brain. Because it's broken. All right, so let's get a Dex Athletics roll from everyone who is going through the labyrinth, except for Dr. Jones, because I don't have a sleeping bag roll for you. Go ahead and roll stamina.
Roll for sleeping bag.
Roll for sleeping bag.
1, perfect. A bloody 1, perfect. Three. Oh, I guess Spencer should roll. If you didn't do well, you can always burn a stamina. Or not a stamina, excuse me, a sanity.
I'm burning a sanity.
I mean, or a stamina if you really want.
How you doing? Okay, that's better. I will take those 6 successes. Thank you very much.
All right, and Mark, you were 3 or 4?
3, sorry.
3. So Lucas and Spencer go first. So this is the first time you haven't been followed by someone, Mark. And you've caved before, but with everything that's going on right now, this might be the scariest cave you've ever had to go through. Because with no one behind you, you are just so sure that something's just gonna come up behind you. Like your animal instinct can feel it on your back before it's there. You two, Lucas and Spencer, you are focused at the job at hand. You've never had to do this before, but you have moved fevers, broken legs, broken backs. This is not new for you, despite just how different this is.
The situation, the circumstances is not what we've dealt with before, but the situation is one that we're used to, so we're moving like a well-oiled machine.
Yeah, it would be impressive to see for Mark if he wasn't so busy being sure that something was going to eat him from behind.
Stay focused.
You guys
just keep moving forward. Just stay focused.
You guys come forward into your original camp, and Paolo has had them send down the heavy-duty apparatus, which is what you would have eventually moved your heavy machinery with. And he's like, I figure we just lay her down on this, that way we don't have to try to rope her up.
Perfect.
We should strap her down to it. She looks, and the sleeping bag is.
Yeah, it was an adventure getting through there.
Yeah. So you guys lay her down on it and strap it in, and Paolo's like, do you want to accompany her up, or do you want me to do it, or...
You go up with her. We gotta get we have to get everybody else out.
Okay. And Spencer's like, do you want me to go up with her then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, go.
So the two of them rig in, and Dr. Jones has been strapped down to this. And Paolo gives the kind of all clear, gives the rope tugs, and Dr. Jones starts lifting up off the floor, and when she's a few feet up, they start going up after her. And I will get a wits awareness from Mark and Lucas.
Have I cleared the cave? Am I out or?
Yes, you all came out into the.
I thought maybe
and
I
that's
was
where
stuck,
Paolo
but-
had the.
Okay, perfect.
No, you're good. You're just scared.
Okay.
Would my safety hazards thing apply to this roll at all?
Yes, it will.
Okay.
Five for me.
5 for you.
5.
I don't have the right amount of dice numbers, so bear with me for a second.
Yeah, no worries.
I'm just gonna kind of stand back and let the pros do what they need to do. It's past triage medical at this point, so I'm helpless.
4.
Yeah, it would have been way more, but the dice hated me.
As they do. So they're heading up, and they're hitting about 70, 80 meters, and you're just about to be like, okay, great.
Right.
Now that's 70 to 80 meters above you, which still puts about 130 meters to the camp. And you're like, okay, perfect. We'll head back in. And as you turn around, to quote some other famous STs that I know, several things happen all at once. So up above, you hear someone yelp very, very loudly. And then there's a very sharp twang sound. And the sound of hissing.
Oh, fuck.
And from above, you see some rocks come tumbling down towards you.
Get back!
Move.
You see the board that Dr. Jones is strapped to. You see one side of it snap.
Oh,
And
fuck
she
me.
is now dangling about 100 meters above the ground. And Paulo's like, no, get her back down. You can hear him yelling to the camp above. And there's obviously something going on in the camp above. You can hear yelling, you can hear machinery firing, you can hear hissing. As you're watching, you can see what appears to be smoke heading up towards the entrance that you came into. And as you're standing there, completely helpless, the second rope holding Dr. Jones up snaps. Because it was never meant to hold just one rope like that. And there's nothing you can do but watch as she falls about 25 stories towards you. It doesn't take very long, as it takes an eternity, as you stand there frozen in this moment of horror. It's less than 6 real-world seconds before she hits the ground with a sound that's equal parts hard and soft. You hear that crunching sound, that unmistakable sound of bone meeting rock and the moist sound of flesh separating from it as she reaches the ground. I'd love to get a sanity roll from you two.
Yeah, that tracks.
What's that roll again?
Sanity, and then you need to get your current sanity rounded down.
I don't remember what we were rolling for it.
You roll your sanity rating.
Thank you.
Yeah,
roll
no,
your sanity.
don't worry. I'm making a real world sanity check at the moment, so.
Yeah.
Undamaged sanity.
Yeah.
I passed. I'm okay. I am going to vomit though.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Well, give it a minute. Give your vomiting just a minute.
Okay, I'll hold the vomiting.
Four?
4?
I don't know if that.
What is your current sanity? 9
8
still?
because I burned 1.
8 because you. That's still fine. It's half rounded down. So you're a narrow pass there. So up above you, there's still panic going on. Quite a lot of it, in fact. Paolo and Spencer are still hanging there. They're yelling up to the camp is yelling down to them. There's no doubt neither of them can hear each other, because you certainly can't make out what either of them are saying as it bounces off of these walls and echoes back to each other. All you know is that everyone here is panicking. And you hear another twang. And another shower of rocks comes down towards you. And above, you see the generator-driven lights start to flicker on and off. And you can actually see another rope get thrown down. And one of the men from the camp above, seemingly with no climbing apparatus, starts trying to come down this rope. And Paolo's yelling and gesturing for them to come back up, or to go back up, and they are not listening. And then there's just no more thinking. Because above you, about 220 meters above you, that original outcropping that made up your 100-meter camp cracks and slides. And of course it would. Everything here is hollow. You guys figured this out hours ago. If only you'd left when you had the chance. As the outcropping slides away from the wall. And then it's just rocks tumbling towards you. So I would love to get a Dex Athletics from our two people here.
Oh boy.
Lucas, you know exactly what this is. Mark, you've got a pretty good guess exactly what's happening here. You've seen this before.
Yeah. Six for me.
6?
6. And it's just me and Lucas down here, right?
That is correct.
Okay. I feel like 6 is a solid roll to save myself, but I would like to put myself a bit in harm's way to aid Lucas if he seems like he's falling behind.
6.
I'm gonna just kind of
Six.
grab him, and we'll head for the entrance and dive.
So you
I'm
both-
completely down for that because I am literally having to watch one of my, my longtime companion get killed after somebody that I've worked with many times before just splattered in front of me. So
Yeah, I'm thinking he's gonna freeze at this point, so I just want to grab and pull and run.
So you guys kind of do that in a panic, grabbing for each other, both trying to think of the other person. Lucas, you would normally be smarter than this, but as you mentioned, what you're watching right now. And whomever it was up above on the rope, this rope doesn't last. It snaps immediately. This person immediately loses their grip and comes tumbling down. You don't hear this one. There's not even a scream to go with it as he's just buried beneath this rubble. And the two of you are you're making a break back towards this labyrinth to head back towards
Absolutely.
your camp.
Yeah.
And as you're making a run for it, the walls are coming apart in sheaves, just like how Mark demonstrated with his little hammer. But when it does, there's still walls. They're just crawling. All the walls, where these old wrinkles fall away, you see the shining, living, moving bodies of these ants, of the hive that you've disturbed. And now, you bring what you wrought. As you watch the sky above disappear under the cloud of dust, and the two of you make a break for the labyrinth, and back towards the camp, and away from what was your only exit. And that is where we're going to bring it to a close for tonight. I hope everyone enjoyed this episode of Skin Deep. So why don't we go ahead and do some outros right now? And let's start with Sara.
Hey, my name's Sara. I played Ella. I'm shook to my core right now. I can barely do this. I feel like you can find me on Twitter at MC Diabetes. You can find me on the Vancouver by Night channel on Saturday and Sunday, and when this is airing. So just catch me here in a vampire game and a D&D game. Enjoy that, and you can keep an eye on my Twitter and the Martlet Games Twitter for updates on upcoming productions. Thank you.
All right, and Rin, who I'm going to just go ahead and declare our superstar of the friggin' night.
Yeah.
MVP. MVP.
Oh, it's so unsettling. Oh,
so gross.
oh, it's so gooey.
People are gonna live out, dude.
All right,
I know-
go ahead and do your outro now that we're not all screaming.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Katharine. I play the late Dr. Karen Jones. I had so much fun with this. Hopefully you'll see me around on this channel more, because I'm going to be begging to do something else here with y'all eventually. And otherwise, you can see me on TTRP Theater, where I'm in 2 seasons of Sinners and Saints. And we have just revealed that our new Alien show is coming out. So we're doing Alien, I believe it's called Alien Chariot of the Gods.
Ooh.
So our sort of one shot. So hopefully you'll be able to see that too. So also, it exploded. There's literally, like, I have a wooden desk. It's everywhere.
Suffer for your art.
Hey,
Yeah.
you know, it's all about the aesthetic. Do you have any idea how long it took me to do?
It's amazing.
It's awesome.
I got my roommate to help me, and he's amazing. So
All right. Well, good luck following this up, Johnathan.
Wow, how
just
the hell
start
do I
peeling
follow
off
that
your
up?
skin too.
Yeah, no, thank you. Hi, I'm Johnathan. I played the horrified Lucas Costa, whom let his wonderful short fuse flaw get to him today, and helped make very bad decisions for the group. Much like Rin, I also am having an amazing time, and hopefully y'all will see me on this channel more. But besides that, you can see me with Rin and Lex on TTRP Theater in 2 seasons of Sinners and Saints. You can also see, again, us on Weave the Tale for the Nuadding Chronicles. You can find me all over the internet and with various permutations of my username, Nox Eternus. I'm also one of the administrators and leads for the Exeter by Night digital LARP project on TikTok, and I may or may not moonlight as the community manager of Jackalope Live Action Studios, who produces The Night in Question, which is a blockbuster Sabbat LARP. Is that everything I do?
It's so hard to remember them all, right?
God.
All right.
I think that's everything I do.
Patrick, your turn to plug a bunch of stuff too.
Hi, Patrick Gill, creative director, Martlet Games, kind of partners in crime here with Vancouver by Night. Yeah, there's tons of stuff that we've got in production. Multiple. I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4 Vampire the Masquerade series or one shots currently in production. The big thing that we just recently announced was yours truly is going to be doing a special time or season of the Spoop 10 Candles sci-fi anthology called Terminal Black. You will see Lex, Sara, and Jay in that. Jay's I didn't have to twist Jay's arm. Lex just kind of like, hey, you're doing this. Is basically how it played out.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that. I killed Sara last night, actually. Sara was in the first episode for that. There will be more details on the Martlet socials when that becomes available. You can also see me on Vancouver Adjacent by Night on Level Up TV, where I play Harley the Nosferatu. He's in all sorts of fuck right now. So yeah, that's all I've got. One last little thing, as a professional aside, Lex, you're a fucking genius, and I can't stress that enough.
Jesus Christ.
You can sit there if you go back and you rewatch the VOD, you can watch where my brain clicked, going, I know what she's doing, and this is fucking amazing. So no, that was beautifully
Likewise.
done. I'm looking forward to this. I'm looking forward to the last couple episodes here. Keep it up.
I'm so glad. All right, and last but not least, Jay.
Hi everyone, I'm Jay. I played Mark the Documentarian. You can find me on Instagram at Sounds of 604. And yeah, Alex, thank you for that awesomeness. We were sitting around before the game, and I was like, this is like you are going to deeply unsettle people, right? Like, she didn't tell me anything about what was going on, but she's like, yeah, no, we've got some stuff coming up. And I'm like, read.
And I was
I
like,
hope
we gotta
everyone
watch
paid
this
attention to
movie.
the
We gotta
content.
watch this movie.
Yeah. I hope everyone paid attention to the content warning because, not every stream actually goes there, but this one does. And thank you for your wonderful, distinct brand of unsettling storytelling. And I look forward to more.
Awesome.
Thoroughly horrified. 10 out of 10. Would be spooked by again.
Much spooked.
Yes. Well, good, because you're back next week and you're not dead yet.
Yeah.
Is it weird that I would have been relieved if I was?
All right. So I was Lex, and now I have a bunch of stuff to plug because you're all captive audience. You can find me on the Sinners and Saints one. You can find me on the Nawadan one. You can find me on Vancouver Adjacent by Night. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter and Patreon and OnlyFans as redhead_vixen. I have also written 2 books that are both available on Amazon. We will try to get the links in the chat, which should be this direction, but I'm not sure for sure. So maybe this direction. Just cover
We're
my
direction
bases.
agnostic.
One of the many available directions will have links.
General this-away direction.
And then as a final super advanced plug, because I would love to have people get in contact with me about ideas or volunteering for next Halloween. So not the one that's in like a couple of weeks, but the one that's in like a year and a couple of weeks. I would love to run an online game based in the Saw universe. It will be a one-shot, preferably on Halloween. I do not yet know what it will look like or how it will work, but I have a year to put it together. So if you have ideas, if you have plans, or if you'd like to be a part of that, please reach out to me on one of my many platforms, because I would love to work on that with someone, especially John, who appears to be petting me through the screen.
Yeah.
I paw, please. I fucking love the Saw movies.
Right. All right. So that is going to be it for tonight. I hope everyone enjoyed themselves. I hope everyone paid attention to the content warnings. I hope everyone continues to pay attention to the content warnings because things aren't gonna get better. And I hope we see you next week for episode 4 of Skin Deep entitled The Fight. And for now, we're going to be raiding on over to someone. I just don't know who yet. So have a good night, and we will see you soon. Bye.
you.